Hello people, so before I get on with this massive YouTube project, I just want to let you all know that the quality of my voice may change throughout the runtime, since this video took me a total of 5 months to make. I started in late February and then I finally finished by late July. So, enjoy the rest of this very long Super Smash Bros. Analysis video. Hey people, welcome to Crossing Reviews, and welcome to my official ranking of every Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character, from worst to best. Before I go over this marathon-like list, I want to tell you all why Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my favorite video game of all time. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a fighting game and has collaborated with hundreds of franchises, including Kingdom Hearts, which is associated with Disney. And for the most part, I really love the amount of character variety in this game. Choosing different characters back and forth makes this game a very pleasant experience. However, not all of the characters in this game are good. In fact, there are quite a few bad characters in this game. In fact, the actual original Smash Ultimate tier list is completely false according to my standards, because there are some really good characters that are in D tier, and there are some really bad characters that are in S tier. So that means Ganondorf will not be in last place, and Steve will not be in first place according to my list, in case you really love spoilers. So this really all comes down to my opinion, since this is my list, and you can disagree with me whenever you want to. So before we get on with the list, I just want to answer the question of how many fighters are there actually in this game, and what really counts as a fighter. So according to the roster, there is actually a total of 86 fighters. But in this list, there are going to be 89 of them. Why 89 exactly? Well, there are these two characters, Pokemon Trainer and Pyron Mythra. They both have the ability to switch characters one at a time. For Pokemon Trainer, he has Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard. And they all have different moves, so I'm going to be counting the three of them as separate characters. And Pyron Mythra share the same mechanic as Pokemon Trainer, where they can switch back and forth using down B. And both Pyron and Mythra have different movesets, so I'm going to be separating them as well. Echo fighters like Dark Samus, Daisy, and Richter will also count on this list, simply because they are on the roster. They do not count as character skins. But character skins like Alf will not count on this list, simply because Alf is just a skin of Olimar. And since those rule sets are over, let's begin the list, starting off with what I can 100% consider the absolute worst character in this game. Smash Ultimate has done it. They made a Smash Ultimate character somehow way worse than SMG4 Peach. And that's because he has absolutely no purpose here, other than to just frustrate me. This character has the absolute worst unique mechanic in the whole game. This character, who I have chosen at random, made me lose in a Smash Ultimate tournament. This character's movesets are so limited unless if you actually use a correct move. Alright, I'm sorry if I'm intimidating you all. So this character comes from the game Pikmin, which I believe Pikmin is a very boring game based off the gameplay alone. I just never really grew up with the game Pikmin. So that means my least favorite character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is none other than Captain Olimar. I mean, what the heck is this? Why did you add him in this game? This dude is like only 2 inches tall, and he's apparently heavier than Pichu. I am going to be talking about Pichu pretty soon, but first I gotta go to Olimar. Olimar does absolutely nothing for this game. His attacks are all awful. His aerial attacks, literally 80% of them have to have Pikmin by his side. All of his smash attacks, he has to have Pikmin by his side. All of his special attacks, he has to have Pikmin by his side, and some of them aren't even suitable for fighting. All of his holding attacks, he needs Pikmin by his side. All of his regular attacks, they actually don't need Pikmin by Olimar's side, but they still suck regardless. His recovery with the winged Pikmin, it's literally just Duck Hunt's recovery but worse. And his final smash. It may seem strong and all, but you'll remember that you're playing as Olimar and he's literally kamikazing his own ship. That's not what a strong character really is. Literally just destroying your work of art does not make you a strong character. And using Pikmin for your own advantage to win also does not make Olimar a strong character. In fact, it makes him quite the opposite. And now I'm going to judge his design. I don't really like judging a book by its cover, but oh my god, Olimar's design is terrible! Now I understand Pikmin is not meant to have the greatest designed characters in the world, but comparing to characters like Cloud, Sephiroth, and including Isabelle, this character literally sticks out like a sore thumb. His design literally looks like a 5-year-old made this. Why is his nose so big? Did he sniff up too much coke? And why are his eyes closed most of the time? Is he blind? Did he sniff up too much of that coke? And the texture of his hair is even worse. It literally looks like grass, or even 3 mustaches. And let's not forget about the Pikmin. All of their voices are really irritating, and their designs just clash. The only one I could see that is mildly interesting is the white Pikmin, but all of the other Pikmin just suck. The one interesting thing Olimar actually does have is that Olimar actually has a unique skin, Alf. Now I do like Alf more than Olimar, but his design still is ugly though. Yeah, I think I've had enough talking about Olimar. There is a reason nobody plays as Olimar because Olimar just sucks so bad. People have played Little Mac more than they have played Olimar. So before I end the segment with Olimar, there is a friend of mine that wants to talk about his hatred for Olimar, who is actually a little bit better than me at Smash Ultimate. You can go ahead and talk about what you think of Olimar.
Hello, I'm Carter, and I'm just here to kind of talk about why I think Olimar is such a bad character. I feel like his moveset is absolutely boring. I feel like his attacks are absolutely boring and really weak. The Pikmin idea is cool, but I just don't understand how they're useful in any way, shape, or form. And on top of that, I just don't like his design, personally. I just don't like the way he looks, and he's just genuinely one of the most boring characters in fighting game history. And yeah, I don't like Olimar.
I think that's all you need to know about Olimar. Olimar is the current and only Super Smash Bros. Character that I never want to play. The fact that Olimar really is an A+ tier really shows that people can lie for attention. This character is so bad and boring that I don't even know if G tier accurately captures my feelings. This character belongs in H tier. The only Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character I would consider a 0 out of 10. Yeah, I've had enough debunking Olimar. He sucks. Don't play as him. Next one. I am actually going to skip the G tier slot because I believe there is no character that is bad enough to be in G tier. So I'm going to skip all the way into F tier, where these characters are so bad, but at least they have something going for them, which can't be said about Olimar. Mega Man is not as aggressively awful as Olimar, but he's still really boring. In fact, I think he might actually be more boring than Olimar, which kind of explains why he's another one of those characters that nobody plays. One of the main problems with Mega Man is that he is a very projectile-based type of character. Now listen, a fighter that has multiple projectile attacks does not automatically make them a bad character. But in Mega Man's case, the projectiles are so weak that it's almost impossible to send someone flying off the course. First of all, why are 3 of Mega Man's attacks just Mega Man shooting pellets at his own opponents? That is literally Mega Man's worst move, and I never use this move whenever I play as Mega Man. Mega Man also has the Sticky Bomb move, which you can easily dodge with a shield. It takes forever for the Sticky Bomb to explode, and honestly, it's not even worth it just shielding it because it doesn't even do that much damage. What about Mega Man's other projectile attacks? They're honestly just boring and forgettable. What about his non-projectile attacks? They're really forgettable, unsurprisingly. His recovery is basically just Sonic's but worse. He's just a nothing character in this game. The only good thing about Mega Man is that he has really cool aesthetics, something that Olimar cannot accomplish. I apologize to all the Mega Man fans who see Mega Man as a very bad character in Smash Ultimate, but don't worry, I do like the Mega Man franchise personally. I'm just not really a fan of how Mega Man is just implemented. At least the way Mega Man functions makes sense, but I'm just not a fan of him in this game. Why are people still adding Diddy Kong in S tier? Like, I seriously don't understand what makes Diddy Kong so good. I never understood. People mainly say Diddy Kong is a good character in Smash Ultimate because he's really good with combos. Yeah, he does combo, but you can do that with literally any character, regardless if it's Diddy Kong or not. Man, there's just so much wrong with this chimp. First, I would rightly want to critique his voice. His voice sounds so awful in this game. I don't even like Diddy Kong that much in Mario Kart 8, but at least his voice had effort put into it. However, in Smash Bros, there is no effort put into his voice. He sounds like one of the most generic cartoon monkeys ever. It especially gets really irritating if I play as Diddy Kong, because that voice is really annoying. Now enough talking about his voice. Are his moves any good? Nope, not even close. One of P. Diddy's moves is where he steals a banana from Mario Kart 8 and put it into Smash. Like, bananas don't really do anything in this game, honestly. I'm gonna be real with you. He also has the peanut gun, which is a really annoying projectile, especially if you're playing competitive. I'd pretty much take Donkey Kong over Diddy Kong any day I could because Donkey Kong's a lot cooler. And his attacks are a lot more stronger. What's your excuse of saying Diddy Kong is a better fighter than Donkey Kong, other than combos? His attacks are just a lot more weaker compared to Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong actually has some cool tricks that make him a very good character.
That's a woman?
Rounding out the F tier slot is Sheik from Legend of Zelda. Sheik is a very fast character in this game. In fact, I think she's one of the fastest characters in this game. And her final smash is actually pretty cool. I just love the animation in this one. But everything else about Sheik is so bad. Sheik is by far the worst female character in this game, and I don't think anybody would disagree. Similar to Diddy Kong, she is a very combo-like character. But like, Zelda is already in the game, and in case there's some viewer out there that doesn't know what Legend of Zelda is, well basically, Sheik is literally just Zelda in disguise. Zelda already shows her true colors in this game, so why is Sheik here? Is Sheik even relevant anymore? And since Greninja is actually added in this game, that makes Sheik even more worthless. Greninja has actual ninja-like attacks that actually make him a far better ninja than Sheik. In fact, literally ninja is in his name. What makes Greninja better than Sheik is that Greninja has a counterattack. Ninjas are supposed to have counterattacks, and Sheik does not have a counterattack. What about Sheik's actual attacks? Well, obviously, they take forever to kill. Yeah, they're just so embarrassing and weak, to the point where one of my coaches in the esports training center I go to complained about how bad Sheik is in this game. And his name is Coach Mike. He has a cameo and wants to talk about his hatred for Sheik.
I really like Sheik, and I wish that she was a little bit better in Ultimate, but she just has all the same problems as she did in Smash 4. She can't kill, and every other character is just better. There's no real reason to play Sheik in Smash Ultimate. She doesn't really have any reliable kill moves either, except for maybe her Nair and her down special, but other than that, everything else just doesn't really feel like it does damage. She doesn't feel reliable.
Thank you very much, Coach Mike, for critiquing this awful ninja. Before I talk about all of the E tier slots, I'm going to talk about all of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate items, which I do not like. I'll explain why when I debunk all my thoughts on all of the items in this game. Starting off with the worst item in this game, number 87 Poison Mushroom. This item literally downgrades you and nothing else. It can be a pretty cool obstacle in case you are mistaking it for a Super Mushroom, but it's nothing really special. Number 86. Grass. This item is just so boring and forgettable, I actually didn't even know this was an item. Number 85, Super Launch Star. Really annoying item and also affects the player that used it. Number 84, Food. It does heal the fighter, but there are so much better options along the way. Number 83, Superstar. A really missed potential item. I kinda wish that running into characters would actually give them damage, but no, it just makes the character invincible. Number 82, Bumper. Pretty much the same thing as the Super Launch Star, but a little bit more fun. Number 81, Mr. Saturn. This item really did not need to exist. Number 80, Banana Peel. I have already complained about Diddy Kong's down special of randomly spawning a banana peel, and this item really is not helpful. Number 79, Sandbag. The only usage for Sandbag is that Sandbag is actually pretty useful in the home run contest, but as an item, Sandbag is pretty useless. Number 78, Smoke Ball. A really, really stupid item, but the smoke effects are pretty decent. Number 77, Unira. A pretty cool concept for an item, but the item is way too easy to dodge. Number 76, Back Shield. Pretty bad item, pretty much only protecting the back side of the character. Why only the back side? Number 75, Barrel. Just a really lame item. Number 74, Freezy. All this item does is freeze characters, which is a cool idea, but it's not very powerful. Number 73, Capsule. Just another lame item where they showcase another item. Number 72, Soccer Ball. This is just one of those items where Nintendo just doesn't have any more ideas for items. Number 71, Rolling Crate. Number 70, Party Ball. And number 69, Crate. All of these items just drop items. It's fine, but it's honestly just really boring. Number 68, Pitfall. All this item does is traps players in the ground, which is an okay concept, but honestly I don't really have a lot of fun with this one. Number 67, Bomb Coup. The worst bomb in this game, and the radius isn't even that powerful. Number 66, Beast Ball. Just a random item. I really don't understand why this was even included. Number 65, Fairy Bottle. This item is pretty much just useless if you're not at 100 damage or higher. If you are at 100 damage or higher, it can heal 100% of your damage. Number 64, Gooey Bomb. The exact same problems with Mega Man's Sticky Bomb are presented here. You can very easily dodge this with a shield. Number 63, Boomerang. I do like the Boomerang flower in the Mario series, but the Boomerang here honestly is pretty weak. Number 62, Ramblin' Evil Mushroom. A very controversial take, but I don't completely hate this item. It is pretty useful if you're versing actual people, because getting hit with this item reverses the left and right controls, but versing CPUs, this is actually pretty useless. Number 61, Warp Star. A cute reference to the Kirby franchise, but the item is very easy to dodge. Number 60, Metal Box. It's definitely a lot harder to get knocked off the course using this item, but the problem is you fall a lot easier, which means it's a lot easier to fall off and die. Number 59, Super Mushroom. All this item does is make you grow in size, which is pretty cool, but the problem is I am worried that it might actually be a poison mushroom, which is why the Super Mushroom is pretty low on my list. Number 58, Green Shell. Although it is a pretty powerful item, you only get one shot at actually throwing the green shell, or else it's going to fall into the abyss. Number 57, Deku Nut. The greatest character in My Hero Academia. Wait, hold on, that's the wrong one. Number 57, Deku Nut. When this item touches an opponent, the opponent literally gets dizzy. Why? Well, there's really no logic to this one, but this is a fine item. Number 56, Bullet Bill. You blast through enemies like a bullet bill. The only downside with this item is that you can accidentally kill yourself with it. Number 55, X-Bomb. It's really easy to dodge this item, but what I really like about this item is that sometimes it looks like it's shaped like a cross, and I am a Christian myself. Number 54, Smart Bomb. Oh, would you look at that? Another bomb item. This one is slightly better than the X-Bomb, because I just think this one is a lot more fun. Number 53, Blast Box. This may seem pretty high, but I don't care. This item is way better than the crates. Number 52, Spiny Shell. I do despise the spiny shells in Mario Kart, but here they're not too bad. And that's because most of the items in this game are not very good. Number 51, Pal Block. If you're on land, the Pal Block can do a lot of damage. But otherwise, there's not much to this item. Number 50, Bomb. A simple explosive item. I don't need to say anymore. Number 49, Banana Gun. A massive improvement over the banana peel, where you can actually shoot a banana at your own opponents. How crazy is that? Number 48, Beetle. This is one of those items that literally insta-kills a character. If you're at high damage, it's a very likely chance that you will actually die from this item. The KOs you get with this item are screen KOs. Number 47, Boss Galaga. Literally the same thing as the Beetle, except I love Boss Galaga more. And the KOs you get with this item are star KOs instead of screen KOs, which I think star KOs are a lot funnier. Number 46, Beehive. I would have an absolute miserable time ever using an item like this. Getting stung by multiple bees sounds really painful. Number 45, Healing Sprout. This item does heal, but very slowly, and sometimes it can latch onto your opponent, which isn't really a good thing. Number 44, Fake Smash Ball. This item is so bad that I honestly kind of like it now. It's pretty obvious to tell which ball is fake and which ball is real based off their designs. Number 43, Motion Sensor Bomb. The Motion Sensor Bomb stays in the ground and it blows up whenever someone gets really close to it. Number 42, Healing Field. It's like the Healing Sprout, but I just believe this one is a lot better. Number 41, Franklin Badge. This item reflects all projectile attacks, which does make this item pretty cool, but it doesn't last for a very long time. Number 40, Super Leaf. You glide in the air for a very limited amount of time, kind of similar to Peach and Daisy. Number 39, Bomber. Casually holding a bomb in the air until it explodes is just hilarious to me. Number 38, Dragoon Parts. This is one of the 2 items where you need 3 items to activate an actual item. And honestly, this just feels like a bootleg version of Hit's Final Smash. Number 37, Beam Sword. I do love all of the batterings in this game, but this is definitely the weakest one. Number 36, Maxim Tomato. This item heals 50% of your damage, which definitely makes this a more reliable item than just regular food. Number 35, Rocket Belt. This item is just really mid. It can help some characters who have really bad recoveries, but characters like Isabelle that have really good recoveries, this is honestly pretty useless. Number 34, Black Hole. This item traps opponents inside it, which makes it a lot easier for the player to hit the opponent. Number 33, Hothead. This may seem really high, but I don't care. The Hotheads are really cool. Number 32, Staff. While insanely forgettable, I do like this item a bit. Number 31, Smash Ball. I don't know why I just have so much trouble actually breaking the Smash Ball. Is it just that I have less damage than other people, or is it just skill issue? I don't know, but all this item does is just give you a final smash. Number 30, KFC Chicken. I honestly didn't even expect to like this item until now. Once you hit an opponent with a chicken, a barrage of chickens start ganging after the opponent. This item's a bit difficult to judge, but I do like this item. Number 29, Hulko Tape Bomb. I really love how this is literally just Olimar's rocket ship, but smaller. And the explosion is absurdly powerful, but it's pretty easy to dodge. Number 28, Gust Bellows. If you're on a stage with pits, this is really useful since you can literally just push players out of the way into their death. However, in certain stages, this is pretty useless. Number 27, Star Rod. I do like this Batarang, but there are so much better options along the way. Number 26, Fire Flower. This item spews fire at your opponents, which is pretty useful, but there's not much to it. Number 25, Drill. If you're at high damage, you could actually die with this item. Number 24, Super Spicy Curry. Basically the improved version of the Fire Flower. You actually move a little bit faster. And plus, the character's reactions to actually eating the Super Spicy Curry is freaking hilarious. Number 23, Daybreak Parts. This is the other item that requires 3 items to activate it. And honestly, I just think this one is more fun to use. Number 22, Fire Bar. This is what happens when the Fire Flower and a regular Batarang item have a baby. I do like it, it's just a regular good Batarang item. Number 21, Killer Eye. Definitely a good item, but not very memorable. Number 20, Screw Attack. I love how this is literally just Samus's recovery, and that's really what makes me enjoy this item. Number 19, Killing Edge. Oh, would you look at that? Another Batarang. For this one, if the sword glows, you get a critical hit, which is perfect for Fire Emblem. Number 18, Ray Gun. It may be more on the boring side in terms of projectiles, but I just love the aesthetic for this one. Number 17, Death's Scythe. Oh, what a shocker, another Batarang item. For this Batarang, if you're at a high amount of damage, you are instantly killed. And that's really what makes this Batarang a tad bit better than the Killing Edge. Number 16, Lightning. Like in Mario Kart, this item is used for shrinking everybody that is in the match. Sometimes it does backfire and does shrink yourself, but when it does shrink others, it is really satisfying to use. Number 15, Heart Container. The best usage of the healing mechanic. For this one, you heal 100% of your damage, which automatically makes this the best healing item. Number 14, Special Flag. You hold it in the air and gain 1 extra stock. It does take a while to actually gain the stock, but it's really satisfying to pull off. Number 13, Timer. This item slows down the opponent's time, where they move incredibly slow, which leads to the player making some really cool combos. Unfortunately, just like with the lightning item, this item can backfire. Number 12, Ore Club. I honestly forgot how many batarangs are there actually in this game, and this one actually is ridiculous. You literally spawn a tornado with a side smash. Number 11, Rage Blaster. The exact reasons I love Lucario are presented here. The more damage you have, the bigger the power. Number 10, Hammer. This is the superstar in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate done right. You are quite literally invincible in this, and this can easily kill opponents. And I also love the hammer theme playing in the background whoever achieves this item. Number 9, Golden Hammer. Literally the same thing as the Donkey Kong hammer, but this one is slightly more powerful. Number 8, Super Scope. I really just love spamming with this item instead of just charging it up. I don't know why that is. That just makes me love this item even more. Number 7, Home Run Bat. This item actually can kill opponents at 0 damage if you use a side smash. Do I really need to say anything more about how OP this Batarang is? Number 6, Steel Diver. The best projectile item in this game. Hitting someone with this item is like throwing a bomb at an opponent, which makes this even better. Number 5, Bunny Hood. The triumphant return of why does Nintendo love bunnies so much? This item is definitely useful though, don't get me wrong. It does increase the jump height and also increases the speed of the character. Number 4, Lipstick. Very creative name. The only reason Lipstick is so high up on the list is because it's used for one thing. It can actually drain opponents' health. That is crazy stuff. And this is what makes it the best Batarang in this game by far. Number 3, Master Ball. Yep, I'm even including the assist trophy type items, and this is definitely the weakest one because there's not that many characters here. Thankfully, Meloetta is in this item. Number 2, Pokeball. Literally the same thing as the Master Ball, but there's way more Pokemon here. And all of the Master Ball Pokemon can actually appear in the Pokeball as well. And number 1, Assist Trophy. The only reason this item is number 1 on the list is because there's more characters here than in the Pokeball. And plus, the variety with all of these characters is literally astronomical. There may be some I don't like, but at least they're in this game. So that means make Waluigi a playable character. I promised I would explain why I don't like the items in this game, so here we are. I don't like the items in this game because they throw away the skill. I usually play Super Smash Bros. For skill, not for unfair play. Which is why real-life tournaments do not include items because these items are literally just unbalanced and make everything unfair. Which is why I only consider like 25% of the items at least fun to use. The next Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier up is the E tier characters. These characters are pretty bad, but at least have something noticeable that makes them good.
Duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season.
Yeah, I don't like Duck Hunt. They are definitely more playable than Mega Man, but man, there is not much to like about them. Once again, they are projectile spam. But at least the projectiles for Duck Hunt actually feel a little bit more powerful than Mega Man's. And the projectiles do feel pretty unique compared to other characters, which cannot be said about Mega Man. But obviously, since Duck Hunt is so low, there is so much wrong with him. Or should I say, them, because this character is not one character, but a duo. And a pretty bad one in fact, because this is the worst character duo in the game. First of all, Duck Hunt's design in this game is so ugly. Why does it look like that? It's so embarrassing that even the 8-bit sprite version of Duck Hunt is better than the modern version of Duck Hunt. They can't even modernize this dog properly. Another problem I have with Duck Hunt is how the projectiles are implemented. Duck Hunt's really just only there for spam purposes, and you can literally just spam neutral B, and then you'll literally just win. Unless if the opponent is really good at Smash Ultimate and wants to kill you in one hit. His down special with the gunman is pretty cool, but it takes forever for them to charge their shots, which the opponents can dodge really easily, and they can also knock out the gunman, which is even worse. However, I do like Duck Hunt's Final Smash. I find it really cool how all of the gunmen team up to defeat Duck Hunt's opponents, which makes this one of the best Final Smashes aesthetically. I do love the Wild West aesthetic to Duck Hunt, but man, Duck Hunt still sucks. And it's really a shame that I don't like Duck Hunt in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, when I actually do really enjoy the Duck Hunt franchise personally. The arcade game by itself is really enjoyable and a fun game to play, but it seems like I have low hopes for Duck Hunt at this point, since they are not memorable characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in my opinion.
You so totally rock, Squirt!
The Pokemon franchise in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a very mixed franchise in terms of characters. 5 of these characters I really enjoy, but the other 5 I don't enjoy. And by far the worst Pokemon in this game is Squirtle. And the sad part to say about Squirtle is that I actually like Squirtle in the Pokemon franchise. He's just a really bad character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Just like Sheik, Squirtle has difficulties killing opponents. But at least in Squirtle's case, it all makes sense because Squirtle is a very small character, which means it's much easier for Squirtle to create combos. But I don't really like characters that create combos because I am not the greatest player in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so that deducts even more points as to why I don't like Squirtle in this game. Many of Squirtle's attacks feel so weak and embarrassing, even in Pokemon standards. So apparently his Water Gun attack, which is neutral B, can't give any opponents damage, but literally every other attack that contains water can give the opponent damage. How does that make any sense? Like literally, I don't understand Squirtle. I understand Squirtle is not meant to be the strongest Pokemon ever, but come on, Jigglypuff is in this game, and she is like a Gen 1 Smash Bros. Character. And Jigglypuff has actual unique moves, like that down B sleep attack where she can give excessive amounts of damage. When using it properly, of course. There is literally no reason to play as Squirtle when there are so much better options for the Pokemon Trainer character. A lot of people say Ivysaur is the worst of the 3 for the Pokemon Trainer, but I do not want to be too vanilla here, so Squirtle is the worst Pokemon for the Pokemon Trainer, and overall, the worst Pokemon fighter in this game.
Mei Ling, Samus took her clothes off.
That one codec call with Snake talking about Zero Suit Samus is hilarious. But yeah, I don't really like Zero Suit Samus. She's just really boring all around and is definitely not anywhere close to being as good as Samus or Dark Samus. The good stuff about Zero Suit Samus is that she jumps higher than both Dark Samus and regular Samus and is also a lot faster. But like seriously, I don't understand why people love Zero Suit Samus so much. Even when I first played as her in Smash Ultimate, I was honestly not really the biggest fan of her. And she continues to plummet down the list the more I play as her. She is overall not fun to play. She has the exact same problems Sheik, Diddy Kong, and Squirtle had, where she just has trouble actually killing others. I usually enjoy characters that give opponents like larger damage, and that cannot be the case for Zero Suit Samus. Most of her specials just seem really dull and uninteresting comparing to Robotic Samus. Zero Suit Samus' neutral special, which is the Paralyzer, is just a really boring projectile. Yeah, sure, it does stun the opponent, but it literally does nothing aside from that. And plus, her down B, just like Sheik's down B, is really annoying and is actually really difficult to use properly. Unlike Sheik's, which gives knockback damage, Zero Suit Samus' down B literally traps opponents in the ground. What is the point of that? What is the point of using an already difficult move if the only thing it does is trapping opponents in the ground? I do know that it can spike opponents, but it's really difficult to pull off. And plus, if you use Zero Suit Samus' down aerial attack near a pit, she will literally die. I know Sheik does the same thing, but since Sheik has so many bad moves, I did not even mention it in my Sheik part of the video. Zero Suit Samus' Final Smash is fine, but it does feel a little bit unfair towards the opponent. And her design, while fine, is honestly a massive step back from all of the other Smash Bros. Waifus. I honestly don't see her very attractive, but most of the other Smash Bros. Waifus I do consider attractive. I'm looking at you, Lady Palutena.
You're mine.
Overall, there's definitely a lot of potential needed for Zero Suit Samus to make her better than her robot counterpart, but all we got was basically Sheik, but a little bit more functional. I don't even care for regular Samus either, but I will be talking about Samus later. I can at least slightly understand why people love to play as Diddy Kong and Zero Suit Samus in Smash Ultimate, but there is this one character that has mostly been in high tier. Honestly, has not been the greatest taste for me. Yoshi is not a good character in Smash Ultimate, I hate to say it. He's overall the worst Gen 1 Smash Bros. Character, and overall the worst unlockable character. What do you all see in this Dino-Leg? He's cool, but not cool enough in Smash Ultimate. First of all, why does Yoshi not have a recovery? I get that Yoshi jumps high and all, but Falco is the highest jumper in the game and still has a recovery, which is the exact same as Fox's. Even Jigglypuff doesn't have a recovery, but since she floats around all the time, I'll give her a pass. The point I am making here is if Yoshi actually had a tolerable up special, which he doesn't. It's literally just throwing eggs at opponents, which doesn't even deal a lot of damage. Even Jigglypuff's up special is tolerable. You know it's bad when I consider Jigglypuff's up special better than Yoshi's up special. I thought Yoshi was good in Ultimate. Yoshi legit has some of the most boring moves in the whole game, some of which are actually really weak. The only good things I can say about Yoshi is his final smash, which I think is pretty cool, and he actually has a really unique shield where he just hides inside his egg. But yeah, I am definitely right about this Super Smash Bros. Character. This character sucks so hard. I actually like Yoshi in all the video games that he's in, I just don't really like him in any spin-off games. From not even having a recovery to just being a really boring character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
You can play dress up all you want, but you'll never be one of us.
I feel like now, since I have put Yoshi so low on the list, I feel like everybody is going to disagree with me. However, there's this one character that is placed pretty low that I feel like everybody would agree on. My thoughts on Dr. Mario. First and foremost, why do we need another Mario in this game when we already have regular Mario? Dr. Mario would have made sense to be a skin rather than an actual fighter, and in my opinion, Dr. Mario is worse. Now, some of you may create a fair argument saying that Dr. Mario is stronger than regular Mario, which is true by the way, but man, there are so much more weaknesses coming for Dr. Mario that at this point, it doesn't even matter if Dr. Mario is strong or not. He has a terrible recovery which doesn't even gain a lot of height. His jumps are much lower than regular Mario's, and he's also a lot slower than regular Mario. His moves are so boring and lifeless compared to regular Mario, and his final smash is so much more boring than regular Mario's final smash. I highly doubt Dr. Mario will make it into Smash 6 because we only need one Mario, not a clone. Or at least make Dr. Mario a skin and not a pre-existing character. Nintendo did not have a good idea with this character whatsoever. Literally the only good thing about Dr. Mario is that he has strong moves. Otherwise, he's just a boring semi-clone of regular Mario.
You know you, and it's like...
Derpy Small. I can definitely tell that you have different opinions in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and one of those is Banjo-Kazooie. The DLC characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate have been mostly good, but one of the main cons with the DLC fighters is Banjo-Kazooie, which is in my opinion the worst DLC fighter. But he's not far from that because I have another one I'm going to be explaining about very soon. Anyways, what makes Banjo and Kazooie bad? They are another character duo. But unlike Duck Hunt, their designs are not that bad. Aside from their designs, the gameplay is boring as sin. You're only allowed to use Banjo and Kazooie's side special 5 times before they die together. Honestly, most of their attacks are just really boring and forgettable that I actually almost have nothing to say about them. Their final smash is cool, aesthetically of course, but like how many aesthetic final smashes are we gonna have? I definitely disliked Banjo and Kazooie more back then, but honestly, they have honestly grown on me. They're definitely not the best, but they're not really the worst. And since Derpy Small loves Banjo and Kazooie so much in Smash Ultimate, I will let him talk about why he loves Banjo and Kazooie so much.
Banjo and Kazooie is one of the best characters in the game, one of the most, if not the most underrated character in the game. With one of the best abilities in the game, with his forward B being his golden wing, which grants the player invisibility frames and good damage and great knockback. It could be used to get out of situations or get yourself onto a higher platform to recover. His moveset usually revolves around the golden wing, because you only have 5 chances to use the golden wing. Some of the other great attacks that he have is his down B and his right stick, all of his right sticks, because they all do good length they spread out. They all have spread out damage, splash damage, if you would say, and they're all not the same. So that's why I believe that Banjo-Kazooie is like a great character in the game. He is majorly underrated.
Thank you very much, Derpy Small. And by the way, fun fact, I actually used to make plush videos with this guy.
Bulbasaur, Bulbachor, Bulbamore, oh Bulba.
Wait a second, they added my boy Bulbasaur in Smash? Nah, I'm kidding. Ivysaur is the actual playable Pokemon in this game, not Bulbasaur. He's known for being the worst Pokemon for the Pokemon Trainer, and yeah, I can understand why. He has the worst ledge grabbing recovery in the whole game. Even if you are very close to the ledge, it can sometimes not grab the ledge. What's up with that? I don't know why Ivysaur has so much difficulties actually grabbing the ledge. Even Squirtle has a better recovery than Ivysaur's, and I've placed Squirtle pretty low on here. Most of Ivysaur's moves suck, as if I don't really like the Pokemon Trainer very much in this game. It's so bad that one of my friends that I actually play Smash Bros. With considers Ivysaur the absolute worst character in Smash Ultimate, and considers Little Mac's recovery better than Ivysaur's recovery. Really? So yeah, I don't really have much to say about Ivysaur. He sucks. Don't play as him. Only play as Charizard if you want to play as the Pokemon Trainer. Justice for my boy Bulbasaur. Have you all ever played that amazing Nintendo game, ARMS? Has anyone played it? Yeah, nobody plays it. Wanna know why? Because exactly what Cloud Strife has said. And do you wanna know what's the biggest problem with the ARMS franchise? Is that they made the main character an assist trophy, which is Springman. So who did we get instead of Springman? We got Min Min. Her inclusion in Smash Bros. Just doesn't make any sense. She is not the main character of ARMS, and she's still a playable character. So that means bring Waluigi in Smash. She's definitely a bit too overhated at this point, but she's still not very good. I mean, just look at her design. Would you actually want to play a character that looks like this? All of her moves are just arm attacks, which I do think the arm attacks are a pretty cool addition to her, but they're really overused. Her voice is really ear-grating, and there's just not a lot of stuff going for her. Little Mac and Ganondorf are the other two most hated characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I honestly think Min Min is the worst of the three. So how is Min Min in terms of gameplay? There's nothing functionally wrong with Min Min's movesets, I just think they're not very fun to use. They do represent ARMS pretty well, I just am not a fan of them. I'm not really a fan of the ARMS franchise because I honestly think it's just a bootleg version of the Street Fighters / Punch-Out games. But there is some stuff about Min Min that I actually like. I do like her Final Smash where all of the ARMS characters are in the Final Smash, basically beating the crap out of the opponent. And some of Min Min's attacks are surprisingly pretty strong. We are starting to get into the characters that functionally work, they're just not my cup of tea. And Min Min is one of them. That is the name I gave Min Min, by the way.
Do the Marios!
There's nothing technically wrong with Mario, like, at all. He's just a really basic character. He's a great character for beginners, and is overall the easiest character to play as in the game. I mean, everybody loves the Plumber Man. He is Nintendo's mascot. I wouldn't mind playing as Mario, like, at all. He's just a character I don't really care about in this game. Comparing to Dr. Mario, he definitely has a better recovery. He moves faster, and he even jumps higher. Wonder why he was originally called Jumpman. Enough about that, his moves are just okay. They're definitely not the best in the game, but they're also not the worst in the game. They are very weak, but that's what makes Mario so easy to control. I love the Mario franchise, but Mario just feels like the most vanilla type Smash Bros. Character ever. I'd rather play as him than Dr. Mario for sure, but Mario still has a road to clear. At least Mario does come with 2 unique outfits, Builder Mario and Wedding Mario. The next tier up for the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list is the D tier characters. These characters are just mediocre and honestly really miss potential. There's definitely a lot of potential needed for all of these characters that are going to be on this tier. Starting with...
Hey look, that's Pikachu! And baby Pikachu!
Pichu is surprisingly not terrible. I actually expected Pichu to be a lot lower on here, but honestly, I don't find Pichu as bad as I thought. The obvious compliment for Pichu is that Pichu is freaking adorable. Shockingly adorable. And also, Pichu moves a lot faster than Pikachu based off movesets alone. But yeah, there is a lot that is wrong about Pichu. Pichu is the lightest character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, even lighter than Jigglypuff, who is a literal living balloon in the whole game. I don't necessarily hate the lightweights, but it's a lot easier to get knocked off the stage. Remember, the more damage you have, the further the knockback. And Pichu especially feels really dangerous to use. Pichu's attacks are definitely a lot stronger than Pikachu's, but there's one problem. Whenever there is a move related to electricity, Pichu damages himself, or herself, depending on the Pichu that you use. The point I am trying to make here is that Pichu is the lightest character in the game, and the lightest characters in the game usually die really quickly. When Pichu is at high damage, even if Pichu has not even been hit by their opponent, Pichu will still die anyway because of how light Pichu really is in this game. Using Pichu's final smash is also a massive disadvantage. Pichu literally takes 15% of damage, which automatically makes Pichu's final smash worse than Pikachu's final smash. I do gotta respect the little guy though, because I actually like Pichu overall. But yeah, he is definitely missed potential. If Pichu wasn't the lightest character in the game, I would have tolerated him more. But for right now, he is where he is. And I also cannot get over that one voice clip of Pichu being dizzy. It's simply majestic.
Pichu.
Mewtwo has been rather considered an unpopular character in the Super Smash Bros. Series, and yeah, I can understand why. We can all agree that Mewtwo is a big Pokemon, very intimidating, but there's one problem to that. Mewtwo is just as heavy as Pikachu, and is placed in the featherweight class. What type of logic does that make? Absolutely no sense. And remember when I said lightweight characters die very quickly? Well, also, big characters have larger hitboxes, which means it's a lot easier to hit the big characters, which means Mewtwo can die really easily. Enough about that logic. Mewtwo's moves, I am more so mixed on. Mewtwo does have the classic neutral bead charge up move, which I think is pretty cool, but all of Mewtwo's other moves are just weird. And honestly, quite a few of them are not very memorable. Maybe it's coming from someone that doesn't play as Mewtwo very often. I mean, come on, Mewtwo is literally considered a legendary Pokemon and is placed at number 75. There is a lot of funny attributes towards Mewtwo, like this. Are you okay, Mewtwo? Because that screen KO is freaking hilarious. And Mewtwo's voice can also be really funny too. I do like Mewtwo in Pokemon, and Mewtwo does have some stuff going for them. But for the most part, Mewtwo just feels like a whatever character.
What does the fox say? Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
The first character I played as in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that I immediately disliked was Fox McCloud. He was just really difficult to control. But as time went by, I actually started to like him for his excessively insane combos. But I've honestly come to a revelation that I honestly don't like Fox again. You may call this a skill issue because I have not really gotten any luck playing as Fox McCloud in the last couple of matches. Fox is definitely one of the better combo-heavy characters with his insane fall speed, and he actually moves very quickly. But yeah, most of his attacks are definitely weak, and it's not really surprising either because Fox is literally an unlockable character. Fox's final smash is pretty cool. The final smash actually changes when Fox versus Wolf. And several of Fox's moves can actually be quite useful, like his side B, which I think is pretty solid. But yeah, I don't really like Fox very much. I 100% do not hate furries, but Fox honestly just feels like a tutorial on how to play as the Star Fox characters in Smash Ultimate. A lot of people keep on rambling on and on, saying that R.O.B absolutely makes no sense to be in Smash. Well, Mr. Game & Watch is kind of the same story. This is the fictional Smash Bros. Character of all time. The one I don't really like too much, and I also consider kind of luck-based. Of course, there's definitely some good in him, like his unique aesthetic. I honestly think it's one of the most unique in the whole game. But yeah, that's really all I could say that is positive worthy about Mr. Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch is the oldest canonical character in Smash Bros. History, who first debuted in April 1980, a month before Pac-Man debuted in May 1980. All of Mr. Game & Watch's moves look cool, but are not very strong. The only true strong thing about Mr. Game & Watch is the side special, which is the Judge. There are 9 different variations of the Judge, and all of them are picked at random. For example, if the Judge lands on a 9, it's almost an instant KO. However, if the Judge lands on a 1, Mr. Game & Watch actually takes damage himself. And remember, this all happens randomly, so you sometimes wouldn't even expect the Judge to land on a 9 or even a 1, which can lead to some actually pretty impressive KOs. And I honestly think Mr. Game & Watch's Final Smash is one of the weakest in the game. But yeah, Mr. Game & Watch is just not for me. All of the retro addicts probably love Mr. Game & Watch so much to the point where Mr. Game & Watch is their favorite character in Smash Ultimate. But for me, Mr. Game & Watch is just too lame for me. One day on my YouTube channel, I decided to make a video where I played Pac-Man on my TV back in September 17th, 2019. Back when my YouTube channel was very new. I still really miss the golden era of what my YouTube channel used to be. But then I realized something. Pac-Man is an actual playable fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. He's once again a really old character canonically, but at least Pac-Man actually makes sense to be in this game because Pac-Man was actually in a Mario Kart arcade game. I do really adore Pac-Man's Final Smash, where Pac-Man literally turns into his retro form, and he can actually deal a lot of KOs with that. He has his down special where he spawns a fire hydrant. Really? That is a little bit random, but I do like it. His side special is also pretty cool, and he has one of the most unique recoveries in the game. So why is Pac-Man placed at number 72 in the D tier territory? Well, to be honest, I am not really the biggest fan of Pac-Man in this game. Pac-Man has brought to us one of the worst stages in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is Pac-Land. And plus, Pac-Man doesn't even speak in this game. I'm pretty sure I know 100% that Pac-Man does speak in the Mario Kart arcade games. But thankfully, Pac-Man's design is not as ugly as it could have been. The Ghostly Adventures design of Pac-Man is definitely way worse. But yeah, Pac-Man's just not really a character I would want to play as. There is definitely a lot of really fun and really cute aesthetics about Pac-Man, but for the most part, Pac-Man just kind of feels like a character that exists in Smash Bros.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just me, but I just cannot stand Ness. He's a character I feel like everybody in the Smash Bros. Community plays as, and I don't really like overrated characters. Remember, I choose characters based off my statistics. You know, Ness was actually originally going to be a mid-tier character on this list, until I realized that Ness is so overrated. Of course he does have the PK fire spam, but it's honestly really annoying rather than just actually being powerful. Ness's PK Thunder is actually more powerful than Lucas's, but honestly, it's just the same recovery. Ness's Final Smash kind of has the same story that Pac-Man's Final Smash had. It's way too easy to KO opponents with it. Ness's counterattack cannot deflect all projectiles. When it does deflect a projectile, Ness heals. I don't know why I'm wasting precious seconds talking about Ness when I could be talking about Lucas, which I'm not going to be talking about for quite a while because I believe Lucas is way better than Ness. Just remember, if you love the magic PK child, I'll give you a pass. Unless if you're an adult that likes children, then you better stay off my channel.
Who's that Pokemon?
Pikachu!
Dang, I did not expect so many Pokemon to suck in this game. This is like the last Pokemon fighter I will actually be talking about for quite a while. Anyways, what makes Pikachu not a great fighter in this game? He is a featherweight and his attacks range from average to kinda weak. I'd still take Pikachu over Pichu any day I could, but not by a large margin because Pikachu still sucks. There's very little attacks that I consider OP according to Pikachu. Thankfully, none of his attacks actually give Pikachu himself any damage, but they're obviously weaker than Pichu's. And Pikachu does way more than Pichu, so it does feel like Pikachu is the more reliable character than Pichu. Pikachu definitely has a better Final Smash than whatever Pichu got, but it's still not the greatest. If you're in the mood to play as a Thunderbolt mouse, I won't really mind that because Pikachu is a better fighter to play as than Pichu. Pikachu is a pretty solid character for beginners, but this is a character I would not want to play as all the time. I don't really care much for Pikachu since there are so much better Pokemon out there.
Say, Drake, I heard you liking me ugly.
Do you know how many Links we have in this game? 3! 3 Links! And I thought Dr. Mario was a totally worthless clone. 1 Link in this game is enough. So, who is the worst Link in this game? Easy. Young Link. Young Link is just a semi-clone of Link and Toon Link combined. If they were to add Majora's Mask aesthetics, I would have actually liked Young Link. It's really sad how half of the Legend of Zelda fighters are literally just Link. First of all, Young Link's Final Smash is legitimately just Toon Link's Final Smash, but they managed to make it more boring. Young Link can also be a copycat because in Young Link's down B, Young Link spawns a bomb. Toon Link does the same thing, but they managed to make Toon Link's bomb a lot more cooler aesthetically. Young Link's regular smashes also copy regular Link's smashes. And most of Young Link's other attacks basically copy regular Link's and Toon Link's attacks, which honestly makes Young Link a really lazy character. I know Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is still around, but there's really no reason to actually add Young Link in Smash Bros. I don't even think Young Link is even relevant anymore. I really hope Young Link does not come back in Smash Bros after Smash 5. Unless if Nintendo actually updates Young Link and actually gives him Majora's Mask aesthetics. But for right now, he is placed at the lucky number.
Hands off my...
Falco Lombardi is the highest jumper in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And that's like literally the most famous thing about Falco, other than hands off my ka! I just find Falco Lombardi really boring, honestly. Like, comparing to Fox McCloud, he just feels like a more fleshed out version of Fox. Although there is some elements about Falco Lombardi that makes him a better fighter than Fox McCloud. So I would not call Falco one of the worst characters in this game. All of his attacks are pretty much just Fox's, but a little bit stronger, since Falco isn't nearly as fast as Fox. Falco's recovery is the same as Fox's, but a little bit weaker. And to top all of that, he has a pretty cool Final Smash just like Fox McCloud, but it's honestly almost the same thing. I have so little to say about Falco Lombardi since I have already discussed why Fox McCloud is a pretty bad character. Falco is not all that bad. I actually do like Falcons myself. Phoenixes are also the type of animals that try to destroy my reputation. Anyways, Falco Lombardi is just eh.
Petty Piranha's a fighter?
Other than Banjo and Min Min, the DLC fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate mostly have been really charming characters to play. Except for Piranha Plant? What? Piranha Plant is in this game? I'm not really going to explain why Piranha Plant is in this game because I honestly think Piranha Plant's inclusion in this game is just hilarious to me. The main problem with Piranha Plant is not the inclusion, but the movesets, which kind of suck. Piranha Plant has such bad specials, like his side special where he spews poison, and also his neutral special is also terrible because it's just really difficult to use properly. By no means is this actually judging Piranha Plant's appearance, because Piranha Plant just feels way too random of a choice to actually be picked. I do like Piranha Plant's Final Smash where he spawns in PD Piranha to try and just pretty much beat the crap out of the opponents. And some of Piranha Plant's moves are honestly just hilarious to me. But yeah, I can actually understand why people don't like Piranha Plant in this game, but for me, Piranha Plant isn't all that bad.
If you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
Wow, that was really hurtful, Bayonetta. but I also think it really hits hard. But yeah, Bayonetta is a character I have never really liked in Smash Bros. I just kind of thought she just exists in the game. Casual players in Smash Bros. Hate Bayonetta because most attacks require combos. But I have mostly been in between on the whole Bayonetta character. It does not mean I like her, but at least I would rather go out with Bayonetta than Min Min. Like what I said before, most of her attacks rely on comboing. And comboing isn't exactly a problem in Smash Bros. The problem is, I am not very good at Smash Bros. Ultimate, and comboing can sometimes not be in my favors. Also, Bayonetta hunts angels. That's when you can tell I am not the biggest fan of the Bayonetta games. The Final Smash Bayonetta has is honestly one of the most unique in the game, but it's also the most complicated. To activate the Final Smash, Bayonetta has to hit her opponent several times to summon Gamora. The Bayonetta franchise, in my opinion, is honestly not really that great in my opinion. I honestly think it's not very popular. I just don't really like this plot of Bayonetta hunting angels. But if Carter does like Bayonetta, then it's fine. But for me, Bayonetta is a character that I just don't really feel like I'm interested in. I'm sorry if this chapter seemed a little bit shorter than you all expected, since there are more characters here, but I just don't really have much to say about the D-tier characters, since they're honestly just really boring and not very special. Before I go over all of the painfully average characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I'm taking a break from that, and I'm going to talk about all of the Pokeball Pokemon in this game. And there's not nearly as much Pokeball in this game as there are items, but it's still going to be a really long chapter. Starting with number 55 being Goldeen. This Pokemon is one of the two that literally does nothing. I get that it's supposed to be a reference to the Magikarp Pokemon for being entirely useless, but Goldeen feels entirely boring and there's really no reason to add him. Number 54, Mew. This Pokemon also does nothing, but this Pokemon is more rare. You do feel lucky once you have a Pokemon like this. Number 53, Swirlix. This Pokemon slows the opponent down, which is a pretty cool concept, but the problem with that concept is that it's really easy to dodge this Pokemon, even on small stages. Number 52, Mimikyu. This Pokemon is really just low because of my bias. I mean, oh my god, Mimikyu is so weird. Enough about that. Mimikyu functions properly, I just don't like Mimikyu. Number 51, Palkia. A lot of people would place Palkia in last place on their Pokeball list, but I am feeling a little generous today. All Palkia does is flip the screen, which actually affects both the player and the opponent. And stages that feature flipping screens honestly is really frustrating to me. Number 50, Alolan Executor. This just feels more like a stage hazard than an actual Pokemon. If the opponent has a really solid recovery, this Pokemon feels entirely useless. Number 49, Abra. This just feels more like a nuisance rather than an actual Pokemon. For this one, this Pokemon just teleports you, and that's really all you need to know about Abra. Once again, if the opponent has a really good recovery, this Pokemon feels really useless. Number 48, Arceus. Just a really boring Pokemon. I really don't have anything to say about this boring Pokemon. Number 47, Togepi. One of the most unique Pokemon in the game, but honestly, the attacks just feel really random. Number 46, Fletchling. Literally just a Sparrow Pokemon. The attacks aren't even that strong. I honestly think Fletchling is just more annoying. Number 45, Spewpa. I honestly thought this Pokemon would do absolutely nothing once again, but thankfully, Spewpa is actually pretty unique. If either the player or the opponent hits Spewpa, Spewpa stuns the opponent and not the player. Pretty unique, but I don't really like this Pokemon. Number 44, Giratina. The one Pokemon that caused Hurricane Katrina. It's a very good idea, but Giratina is a pretty forgettable Pokemon in my opinion. Number 43, Pyukumuku. Basically Spewpa, but better. Instead of just hitting the Pokemon, you can actually just touch it. And the attacks do give out knockback damage, but once again, this Pokemon is really easy to dodge. Number 42, Kyogre. Oh my god, this Pokemon is so freaking annoying. But I feel like that's the whole point of Kyogre, but still. Unless if the opponent has a bad recovery, this Pokemon is honestly not very good. Number 41, Bellossom. Cute design and all, but this Pokemon is literally just bootleg Jigglypuff. Like if you actually spam Jigglypuff's up special, this is the Pokemon you get. Still a better Pokemon than Swirlix. Number 40, Deoxys. Dexies. I don't know how to say some of these Pokemon names. Anyways, cool beam, I just don't really care much for Dexies. Number 39, Moltres. Nothing really going on with this Pokemon, but if the opponent lands on Moltres, they give out crazy amounts of damage. Number 38, Chespin. I actually like Chespin in Pokemon, but how Chespin was utilized here is honestly quite weak. Chespin stays in the same spot, which honestly makes Chespin quite weak. Number 37, Staryu. Speaking of which, I didn't even know a starfish was actually in Pokemon, and it's Staryu. Staryu works, I just don't really care about Staryu. Number 36, Lugia. Basically just Giratina, but better, and the tornadoes are electrical now. How fitting. Number 35, Latias and Latios. The main purpose for these two is that they move around the screen quite quickly, but it is possible that the opponent will dodge all of the attacks. Number 34, Metagross. This Pokemon traps opponents in the ground, similar to the Pitfall item. This does feel like more than one Pitfall, but Metagross is still pretty easy to dodge. Number 33, Entei. Now we're getting into the good Pokemon. This Pokemon shoots fire vertically, and it's pretty cool, but not very interesting. Number 32, Snivy. A pretty decent Pokemon, but honestly could have done a little bit more than just throwing projectiles. Number 31, Darkrai. Basically Blossom, but better. He shoots a Dark Void at the opponent, which sends the opponent to sleep somehow. Number 30, Dedede. Oh, isn't that just great? We have another Pikachu lookalike. For this one, Dedede shoots electricity, but in a cross-type way. That is pretty cool. Number 29, Electrode. The Pokeball lookalike that came out of a Pokeball. It's just a simple explosion, nothing really more than that really. Number 28, Xerneas. All this Pokemon does is make the player gold. That is pretty cool, and no other item in this game does that, except for the coins in the new Super Mario Bros. 2 stage. Number 27, Suicune. Similar to the Freezy item, this Pokemon freezes the opponent, and they honestly executed this way better. Number 26, Inkay. Absolutely the most criminally underrated Pokemon. So whenever Inkay dives its head into the ground, the opponent can actually trip themselves. It doesn't really do much, but I gotta respect the boot-like Inkling. Number 25, Scizor. This is one of the Pokemon that acts like a regular assist trophy. He works, he functions well, he's just not really one of my favorites in the game. Number 24, Zoroark. This Pokemon functions similarly to some Final Smashes in the game, kind of like Clouds, Ikes, and Meta Knights. It's really cool though, so I will give it a pass. Number 23, Keldeo. This Pokemon is the definition of not giving the opponent a break. The whole gimmick of Keldeo is to slash opponents with his horn. And what makes it even more insane is how long the horn is. It's so long, it actually can be pretty difficult to dodge. Number 22, Kyurem. Suicune, but more powerful. This one blows ice at the opponent in 2 directions, which honestly makes this one more reliable than Suicune. Number 21, Solgaleo. Unlike Entei, Solgaleo actually shoots fire at the opponent, homing in on them. And I honestly think Solgaleo is a pretty cool Pokemon name. Number 20, Snorlax. Such a classic Pokemon in every way possible. This dude has such a large hitbox that it could actually be quite a challenge to dodge him. Number 19, Gogoat. The one Pokemon you can actually ride on. All this Pokemon does is really just charge at the opponents, which is good, but not really anything special. Number 18, Tapu Koko. The one and only Tiki-type Pokemon. This one creates an electric field which can actually stun the opponent somehow. It does other range of attacks, and honestly, this is pretty cool. Number 17, Gardevoir. Your favorite counterattack Pokemon. This Pokemon does nothing but reflect projectiles, which is a great concept since people do love projectile spam sometimes. Not exactly the most fun Pokemon, but definitely useful. Number 16, Victini. This Pokemon makes your life so much better with just giving you your final smash. It's so much easier obtaining your final smash than just hitting the smash ball. Also, I really like Victini as a Pokemon. In my opinion, Victini is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Number 15, Alolan Raikou. Just casually surfing around while also there's electricity spitting out of him is honestly pretty cool. Pretty cool for another Pikachu lookalike. Number 14, Oshawott. this Pokemon also does surf, until he actually gets into a pit. But I will admit Oshawott is a pretty adorable Pokemon, so he got the edge over Alolan Raikou. Number 13, Marshadow. Definitely one of the most OP Pokemon. Marshadow creates a shadow at the bottom of the opponent, which Marshadow uses it as an advantage to stun and also attack the opponent, which is awesome to see. Definitely one of the more unique Pokemon. Number 12, Alolan Vulpix. Not as good as Fiery Vulpix, but still a great Pokemon. Instead of shooting fire, Alolan Vulpix instead spews ice instead, which is not as interesting, but still a pretty cool gimmick. Number 11, Genesect. The start off to the S tier Pokemon. So why is Genesect S tier? He shoots lasers at the opponent, which is honestly pretty cool to see, and they're honestly really powerful. I don't think I have anything more to say about this pretty wicked Pokemon. Number 10, Abomasnow. A lot of people actually consider this Pokemon one of the best Pokemon in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and yeah, I can agree. This Pokemon holds the best usage of freezing opponents. He has a variety of other attacks, and that's really about that. Number 9, Fennekin. Basically just a worse Vulpix. Vulpix moves in different directions shooting the fire, rather than just actually aiming at the opponent. But once again, since Fennekin is very high, I do believe Fennekin is very adorable. Number 8, Ditto. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves Dittoler, the one that can transform himself into the player that actually picked up the Pokeball. So basically, he's now like a level 5 CPU now. Number 7, Eevee. Eevee is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, so it's not really a shocker she is very high up. All she really does is just tackle the opponent, which is a pretty cool concept, but it's not really one of the strongest. Still, I really like Eevee. Number 6, Vulpix. She is just like Fennekin, but instead actually aims at the opponent with the fire pillars, which automatically makes Vulpix the more reliable Pokemon than Fennekin. Number 5, Togedemaru. We have the Grandma Pikachu now. This one charges up all of the electricity close to where the opponent is. Kinda reminds me of Goku for some reason. Number 4, Beware. This is no friendly pink panda. Beware is ridiculously powerful. The knockback damage for this one is actually ridiculous. So it's really no shocker people die because of this Pokemon. Of course, Beware is otherwise pretty nice with the player that actually picked up the Pokeball. Number 3, Meowth. One of the most classic Pokemon ever, and the best non-master Pokemon in the game. All this delightful Pokemon has to offer is just throwing coins at the opponent, which is pretty cool. You cannot go wrong with my boy Meowth. Number 2, Lunala. Absolutely one of the coolest Pokemon in Smash Bros. It shoots a ray from a distance, which actually creates a really cool sound. It does quite a lot of damage if the opponent actually touches the ray, but my main compliment is of course the amazing sound of the beam. And number 1, we have got ourselves Bootleg Marie. I just had to make that joke somehow. My second favorite Pokemon of all time and my number 1 favorite Pokeball in this game is Meloetta. I mean, just a perfect combination of music and a legendary Pokemon. She doesn't sing opponents to sleep, which is a great thing about her, but instead creates music notes bouncing around the screen, kind of like those DVD screens that you see. Overall, just a perfect choice, and these music notes can actually be pretty difficult to avoid, especially on small stages. Overall, this is the absolute legendary Pokemon in my eyes, and definitely one of my favorites of all time. At this point, I really should just put Meloetta on my channel banner along with Isabelle, and that will make everything feel majestic on my channel. The next tier up for the official Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character tier list is the C tiers. I have pretty mixed feelings over these characters, and these characters I just considered painfully average.
That's no good.
Sonic is a character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that either really annoys me or is just plain old boring. To be honest, he does have good attributes about him, but he's still not a fun character to play. He's apparently placed as the second best character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, right behind Steve, and I absolutely disagree. It's funny how the top 2 Smash Bros. Characters aren't even Nintendo. The positives I could say about Sonic is 1, he is by far the fastest character in the game. But that positive can also turn into a negative, because Sonic can be a bit reckless. You could accidentally die just because of how fast Sonic really is. And those are the type of characters I don't really like. Well, actually, Hero's Acceleratle makes him faster than Sonic. I'm gonna be honest with you, it is true, but Hero's Acceleratle is limited. So that still makes Sonic faster than regular Hero. And another problem with him is some of his appalling movesets, especially Neutral B, which is his homing attack. People love to play as Sonic just for that one stupid move, and I absolutely hate it. People will win with no effort whatsoever just because of that one move. And that is exactly why whenever I verse Sonic, I play as characters with counterattacks. His movesets can also be really janky to the point where I didn't even know how to play as Sonic the first time I played as Sonic in Smash Bros. His final smash is not even powerful, it's just really annoying and kinda weak. Characters with really strong recoveries can dodge it, or you could just air dodge it. Even Solid Snake doesn't like him.
Something about that hedgehog rubs me the wrong way.
I do like Sonic as a character and his overall video games, but Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Sonic?
That's no good.
I got a woman here in a power suit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first time that there is a two-way tie on my YouTube channel. The first fighter duo we got here is with Samus and Dark Samus, with Dark Samus being the Echo Fighter of Samus. The two characters perform the same, with Dark Samus being the preferred fighter. And that's simply because Dark Samus just has a cooler aesthetic, but there's something to like about regular Samus too. Both of the Samuses have charge shots, missiles, screw attacks, bombs, and their final smashes are the same too. All of those 5 moves I've mentioned are pretty useful and kind of strong. Zero Suit Samus couldn't do that. Anyways, what is wrong with the two Samuses in this game excluding Zero Suit Samus? Well, they're just way too basic. The original Samus is a Gen 1 Smash Bros. Character and one of the few unlockable characters in the game, which pretty much proves that Samus is one of the easiest characters to play as in the game. So is Dark Samus, but you actually need to unlock Dark Samus in a form of a challenge, which pretty much explains my next complaint with these two characters. Why do we need an Echo Fighter of Samus? Samus is an independent woman, she is fine by herself. Even Zero Suit Samus performs differently, and I am saying this in a very, very kind way for this character. I wouldn't actually mind playing a Samus or Dark Samus at all, but they're just too basic.
Watch out, I got God on my side. I will kill you.
What do you know? We have a back-to-back tiebreaker. The next fighter duo is with Simon Belmont and Richter Belmont, with Richter being the Echo Fighter of Simon. The two fighters perform pretty much the same except for maybe their Holy Water move, but I'll get to that soon. As a Jesus Christ believer, I really wanted these two to be so high up on my list, until realizing that most of their attacks are just bad. They have 2 recoveries each. One of them is absolutely awful and only goes one direction. The other one is a ledge grabbing recovery and it's not nearly as bad. The two Belmonts are both projectile spam as well. I'm fine if a character has like 1 projectile, but if a character has multiple projectiles, then that does not really make me like them a lot. And of course I want to mention the Holy Water mechanic, which is the main difference between Simon and Richter. Simon's Holy Water spews just regular flames, while Richter's spews blue flames, which is basically just Lucario's aura. That by itself automatically makes Richter the preferable fighter. The 2 different types of Holy Water can create different scenarios for each character. But there's not really a whole lot of stuff to like about Simon and Richter. In fact, I don't even like getting Simon or Richter at random. They're just cool additions, but don't have a great execution. Their Grand Cross Final Smash is really cool aesthetically, obviously, and I kind of adore their Whippers sound.
Shoryuken!
Out of the 2 Street Fighter characters, Ken Masters is basically just Ryu, but worse. Although there could be a hilarious comparison between him and the Burger King guy on that plane in 2020. Ken is the Echo Fighter of Ryu, but has different movesets compared to Ryu. For an example, Ken is actually faster than Ryu. And Ken is one of the 3 characters to contain 2 Final Smashes, which is also what Cloud and Ryu have. Anyways, have I already told you that Ken is worse than Ryu in this game? Ken's moves are pretty much the same as Ryu's, except some of the attacks deal less damage to the opponents. Except the Shoryuken, it actually deals more damage than Ryu's Shoryuken. And that's another problem with Ken, the recovery. It's just as bad as the Castlevania Brothers recovery. Ryu's is the same as well, but I'm going to be talking about Ryu later. And I'm sorry to say this, but I don't feel like Ken is necessary for this game. Isn't Ryu iconic enough for this already fighter game? Although I could understand why people would prefer to play as Ken rather than Ryu, but for me, Ken is just... whatever. Are you serious right now, Nintendo? Who actually wanted Wii Fit Trainer in Super Smash Bros.? Definitely not me. I have never cared about Wii Fit Trainer, and I always considered her a pretty mid character in the game. Well, you could also switch the gender of Wii Fit Trainer, but that does not make Wii Fit Trainer any better. There's just not much to enjoy with Wii Fit Trainer. Most of Wii Fit Trainer's attacks have such low hitboxes. Their final smash also sucks because it literally rips off Mario's final smash. And their designs are so uncanny. They look so boring and lifeless, but I would prefer their designs over Olimar, of course, because I hate Olimar. They also have a very bad recovery as well. It's just really boring, and that's it. I was going to put Wii Fit Trainer somewhere in D tier or E tier, until realizing that they have the deep breathing move, which is by far the most unique thing about them. Not only does it heal the player, but it also makes the player stronger temporarily. With the correct timing, you should know how to use Wii Fit Trainer's deep breathing. I also think the Sun Salutation, which is neutral B, is pretty decent as well. Whenever it is fully charged, Wii Fit Trainer heals. And I have one final question for myself about Wii Fit Trainer. Is Wii Fit Trainer, the female version, attractive? Probably not, but I definitely understand where people are coming from of why they love Wii Fit Trainer so much. Speaking of Smash Bros. Waifus, would I smash Rosalina? Yeah, and also Lady Palutena. Rosalina and Luma. Where do I even begin with these two? They're one of my least played characters in this game, and they still managed to be one of the better duos in this game. I'm not even kidding. I have played Olimar, the worst character in this game, more than I have played as Rosalina. And there is a simple, logical reason as to why I don't play as Rosalina often. She is so boring. She's one of those background Smash Bros. Characters that absolutely nobody plays. Except for maybe my brother, but other than that, nobody in the Super Smash Bros. Community plays as her. The whole coordination between Rosalina and Luma is really confusing. It feels like most of Rosalina's moves are pretty weak, but when you actually use them, they're kind of average. And her final smash is complete garbage. If you're far away from Rosalina, you can actually dodge this final smash. Even if the opponent gets trapped inside the Grand Star, it's not really much of a threat because the knockback damage is so bad. Anyways, the goodies about Rosalina in this game is her voice. Smash! Her recovery is pretty decent, but unfortunately, it does go in one direction. And sometimes I can have enjoyment with Rosalina, but Rosalina is a character I would not want to play as all the time. Also, why is it funny seeing Lumas fall off the cliff because Rosalina didn't take care of Lumas? Was Odyssey Central right for hating on Rosalina? Oh, what do you know? We have another character duo, this time with Pit and Dark Pit, from a Nintendo game that references Greek mythology, Kid Icarus. And Pit is the main protagonist, and manages to be one of the easiest fighters to play as in the game. Well, that also goes for Dark Pit, simply because Dark Pit has the same moves as Pit. Well, Dark Pit does come exclusively with the Electroshock arm and the Silver Bow, and they manage to be stronger than both the Upper Dash arm and the Palutena bow respectively. The only reason I placed Pit above Dark Pit is the Palutena's guidance secret, which can only be accessible using Pit's down taunt.
She's overrated if you ask me.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
Never say that about the beloved Isabelle. She's not overrated. Anyways, all of their attacks are pretty much the same. I recorded all of their attacks, and honestly, they're not very strong. And they don't have to be, because they are very easy characters to play. And their recoveries are pretty great. They can actually go in different directions, and I love it. And they actually have two different final smashes, with Pit's being better than Dark Pit's. And that's all because you can manually aim at the opponent instead of just actually aiming for the opponent when you're about to activate the final smash. Pit's Lightning Chariot is one of my favorite final smashes of all time, And that is the second reason why Pit is better than Dark Pit in this game. Similar to Samus or Dark Samus, I would not mind playing as these two. They are simple, charming, and most importantly, middle of the pack. Also, I am Pit from Kid Icarus.
Hello, it's me, Super Luigi, on the Xbox One!
My boy Luigi is not very high up on the list this time. He is a better plumber fighter than Mario, but like, he's also not very great either. He does jump higher than Mario and has a very solid combo game, but like, how many combo heavy characters am I gonna trash talk in this game? There is a few stuff that held Luigi back from being a good character in this game. The one thing we as humans could agree on is Luigi's down taunt being the best taunt in the game. It's one of the rare taunts that can actually deal damage to opponents. The only characters that have taunts that can deal damage to opponents are Snake, Greninja, and Kazuya. But of course, there's definitely a lot of flaws with Luigi. Luigi's up special is so unnecessarily powerful and I love it, but if it's used as a recovery, it is trash. The green missile move is also not great either. It requires precise timing to fully charge the move, and I am not a fan of that. Well, technically the full charge happens randomly, but I'm still not a fan of this move. And in general, I don't really have a lot of stuff to say about Luigi. Luigi is not that good, but I would not mind playing as this greenish looking Mario once in a full moon.
Let's dance!
Marth from Fire Emblem might actually have the most depressing fall off out of any Smash Bros character ever. Fire Emblem is one of the best franchises to be added in Super Smash Bros. As a whole, and Marth and Roy specifically are the most unique characters in Super Smash Bros. Melee, due to their unique movesets and the only characters that spoke Japanese at the time. And now they took those traits away and Marth no longer speaks Japanese in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Only Cloud, Kazuya, and Sephiroth do. Since Nintendo took all of the iconic traits away from Marth, he's just kind of been a really bland Fire Emblem character, and I consider him the worst Fire Emblem character in Smash. I just straight up don't play as Marth because Lucina is right next to him. No, like seriously, the Super Smash Bros. Roster tells the truth. So what is really the main difference that makes Marth a worse fighter than Lucina? It's mainly just his attack scheme that makes him worse than Lucina. While Lucina's attacks remain very consistent, Marth's attacks manages to be really precise. Marth's attacks are only stronger than Lucina's if the opponent is hit by the tip of his blade. Otherwise, his attacks are pretty much the same as Lucina's, except when Marth hits opponents using other parts of his blade. And that is what causes Marth to be worse than Lucina. The only reason Marth is not any lower is because Marth is just too cool to be in last place. I still really miss when he was Japanese, bro.
みんな、見ていてくれ
We gonna fight or what? I don't have all day.
Do you remember how I said I liked all of the DLC characters except for Banjo-Kazooie, Min-Min, and Piranha Plant? But there's also one more that I don't really like too much. Terry Bogard, from the game Fatal Fury. Why? Why did we even need Terry Bogard anyways? Just like Ken Masters, he is an actual fighter from a non-Nintendo game I have never heard of before. Fatal Fury. Terry is easily one of the most difficult characters to play as in this game. He's up there with Ryu, Ken, and Kazuya. Wow, that's 3 Kazuya references in one chapter. I did not know I love Kazuya this much. But of course, his movesets are otherwise really supremely complicated. Terry's moves aren't even anything special, they're just kind of there, but to activate a stronger move, you have to use certain inputs in order to make the move work, which can make Terry horrible in competitive play. The first time I even played as Terry in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I did not know how to use his Go move. Look at these inputs. So you're telling me that people who main Terry waste their time practicing the inputs? That does not make Terry a very fun fighter in this game. The final smash is cool. I honestly think Terry's voice clips are pretty hilarious. But man, he's easily one of the most forgettable fighters in this game. The only reason he's not low is because he is a unique addition and also his final smash.
I am a Stegosaurus.
Rounding out all of the C-tier characters is the most uncanonical character and the best Metroid character in the game, Ridley, who seems like one of the most out-of-place characters in the game. In Metroid, Ridley is way, and I mean way larger than Ridley's size in Smash. So the slot just feels really random. Anyways, have I said before that Ridley is the best Smash character from Metroid? Because in reality, he really is, because he feels the most unique out of every Metroid character. Back when I first played Smash, I really loved playing as Ridley because I have gotten a lot of KOs playing as Ridley in one match. But now, after looking at this dragon, Ridley's kind of okay. He's not exactly the most fun character of all time, but he does have his enjoyable moves. I have always loved Ridley's down special where he quite literally penetrates an opponent.
God damn, this some serious gourmet shit.
But of course, not all characters with extremely strong moves are enjoyable. Ridley is a heavyweight, but is not as heavy as these big boys, which automatically makes Ridley the odd one out. These are the exact same problems I have with Mewtwo, and it's not anything different. Ridley has a large hitbox and it makes him easy for opponents to hit. He does have a good final smash where he turns into his canonical size and burns opponents alive. The proclaimed God of Death does murder opponents, but doesn't murder enough for him to be in B tier. The next Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character tier is the B tier characters. This is the first tier where I actually consider the characters good, but they're nothing special. The Mii fighters in Smash are fairly enjoyable for who they are, but one honestly sticks out, and that would have to be the Sword Fighter. There's nothing functionally wrong with the Sword Fighter is just not as good as the other two Miis. The amount of costumes for the Mii Sword Fighter is 51, which is more costumes than the Mii Gunner, but not as much as the Brawler. Mii Sword Fighter is just a very odd choice. Some of his moves don't even rely on swords, which is quite ironic from a character named Mii Sword Fighter. And that's mainly coming from his final smash where it barely even relates to swords. This all might sound really nitpicky, but I don't care. There are several sword fighters in this game that use swords in a unique way. And sadly, Mii Sword Fighter ain't one of them. I honestly really don't have much to say about Mii Sword Fighter. He's a great addition, but just a fine fighter. And easily the worst Mii.
Magic.
There's gonna be so much Fire Emblem in this video. The next Fire Emblem character up is Robin, who is the supposed book magician in Fire Emblem. Robin is definitely different and has a very unique change of pace compared to what I am used to in Fire Emblem. But that still doesn't make Robin any better than the other Fire Emblem characters. Well, except for Marth. I'm actually going to be referring to Robin as both a male and female in this segment because, well, you can actually change their genders. So Robin has a lot of great stuff going for her. Although she is one of the two Fire Emblem characters to not have a counterattack, what she does have instead is stealing health from an opponent, and she has a very strong recovery. A lot of other benefits include the Thunder, the Arc Fire, and the Elwind. The disadvantages are that the magic is limited, which does not make Robin strong all the time. Robin is also very sluggish, which makes Robin the second slowest character in Smash, in front of the number one slowest character being Incineroar. And Smash did not even update Robin's final Smash. Chrom is now a playable fighter in Smash, so maybe, I don't know, replace him with someone else? That would have made this final Smash fine, but instead, it's just another one of the forgettable ones. And Robin has a pretty goofy design. This dude looks like he's about to sign the Declaration of Independence. We are signing the Declaration of Independence with this one. Overall, there's a lot of great intentions for Robin, and I actually wanted to like Robin a lot more, but Robin is just fine. A cool character with cool mechanics, but the functions are pretty mid, and also pretty complicated. When I first played as Ryu, I did not like him in this game, and that's mainly because of his pretty janky movesets and his bad recovery, but now I actually like him. He just has problems, like several of them. He shares one thing that a lot of other bad characters have. He doesn't have a good recovery. In fact, it is quite the opposite of good, because it only goes one direction, which is the exact same as Ken's recovery. And another problem with Ryu is that Ryu is a lot slower than Ken. Speed is the only thing that would make Ken better than Ryu. So yeah, Ryu is just better than Ken. He is the original fighter of Echo Fighter Ken Masters that everybody in the Street Fighter community loves, including my own mom. No homo, but that is a good looking guy. Most of Ryu's moves are pretty strong, well at least stronger than Ken's. He has better input moves than Ken, and plus I think he has a great voice. Kyle Herbert makes a great impression of Ryu. And just like with Ken, Ryu does come with 2 final smashes, which I believe are a little bit better than Ken's. Overall, if Ryu didn't move so awkwardly, I would have definitely placed him a lot higher than just number 49.
This is a fucking cartoon!
Here we go again with the question of, why are there 3 Links in this game? One is a deliberate clone, while the other 2 are different fighters. Toon Link is okay. The semi-clone of Young Link manages to be better than Young Link, due to his design, and his voice is not nearly as annoying. But there's a lot of setbacks about Toon Link that make him a low B-tier character. Just like with Young Link, his existence is kind of pointless in Smash. He's another Link clone that manages to have the best design out of every Link in this game. And Toon Link is the fastest Link. Things seem to be adding up for Toon Link, because Toon Link is better than Young Link. When his sword hits opponents, it makes the most satisfying sound ever. Young Link's sword cannot do that, which makes his inclusion even more worthless. I absolutely adore the bomb explosions coming from Toon Link, as it looks cartoonish. He has a pretty sick final smash, but unfortunately, Young Link ruined it by, of course, copying Toon Link. There's not really a lot of negatives with Toon Link, they're just mainly associated with Young Link. It is quite difficult to spike opponents using Toon Link, but I would still prefer Toon Link over Young Link any day. The final verdict here is that Toon Link is basically the upgraded version of Young Link. He's decent, but not great.
Please go the fuck to sleep.
It's been a while since I've mentioned something about Pokemon in this video. I'm quite surprised Jigglypuff actually made it so high up on the list. Despite of how cute Jigglypuff is, she's also very powerful and kind of reckless actually. But her recklessness is what makes me love playing as Jigglypuff. But she definitely suffers from a lot of problems. Jigglypuff is the 3rd slowest and the 2nd lightest character in Smash Ultimate. But she does come exclusively with a lot of unique fighter traits. The first thing I want to mention is that Jigglypuff is one of the 2 characters to not have a proper recovery. But since Jigglypuff is basically a mushroom cloud, I'll give her a pass. The up special Jigglypuff has instead is singing opponents to sleep, which is one of the most famous things about Jigglypuff. Most of her specials are quite crazy, like this move for an example. Jigglypuff fell asleep and then damaged the opponent at a high amount of damage. I feel ashamed for saying this, but the rest move is pretty mixed in my opinion. While yes, the rest does deal damage at a very high number, but it's also really hard to pull off. The move only works when Jigglypuff directly touches the opponent, which can be really hard to pull off sometimes. And it doesn't help that Jigglypuff sleeps for a pretty long time. Jigglypuff instantly dies if her shield is broken. And I'm one person who doesn't use the shield often, so I'll just let it slide. And one last thing I want to point out is that Jigglypuff has a pretty bad final smash. Her puff-up is infamous for not being very powerful. There's like a 20% chance I'll actually get hit by this final smash because it is so easy to dodge. Anyways, I actually do like Jigglypuff in this game. She's one of those characters that is so bad that it's enjoyable. A very reckless mess, but a character I do love in Smash. With no hesitation, Wolf O'Donnell is my favorite Star Fox character in Smash Bros. And it's absolutely not a contest since Fox and Falco were both on D tier. There's just so much to enjoy about this wolf. This guy has one of the sickest possible designs in any Smash Bros game ever. He actually looks menacing and terrifying, which is the ultimate goal of a good character. When making a direct comparison to Fox and Falco, Wolf is way stronger than both of them. His final smash is easily the best of the 3 fairly similar final smashes. And that's because of the one iconic line I just cannot stop thinking about. His moves are the cherry on top when compared to the other 2 Star Fox characters, such as Wolf's Flash, which is fairly similar to Falco's and Fox's, but it also requires precision. When it lands on an opponent correctly, it can deal quite a bit of damage. So the problems with Wolf are kind of similar to Dr. Mario's, but to a far less extent. I don't mind his inclusion at all. I think he deserves a slot in this game. And he is not a semi-clone of either Fox or Falco. What really could make Wolf worse than Fox and Falco is his speed, which is slower than both of the Star Fox boys. And he has a pretty weak recovery compared to the other two. It doesn't gain too much height and is just another mediocre recovery. And his final con comes from his side special. If you actually use it towards a pit, he will instantly die because he can't even use his recovery after his side special. I've made this common mistake several times playing as Wolf, and it made me lose some matches. I do like Wolf as a character, and he's overall a fun character to play as in this game, but he definitely needs to be updated. I barely have anything to say about the Mii Gunner, so I'm gonna keep this short. Mii Gunner is easily the slowest Mii out of the three, and is also the 5th slowest character in the whole game. Although the Mii Gunner has the fewest costumes out of the 3 Miis, it's worth noting that Mii Gunner has the true best costumes. Like for an example, Sans from Undertale. I still feel disappointed that Sans is not an actual fighter instead of a Mii skin. Mii Gunner kind of functions the same as Samus, which is fine for the most part, simply because the Miis are meant to be created. I'm not going to go over Mii Gunner's Final Smash, simply because it is the same thing as Samus's Final Smash. Yeah, I told you I don't have much to say about Mii Gunner. Mii Gunner is a fine addition in Smash Ultimate, but is not interesting to talk about. I also forgot to mention that Mii Gunner is the absolute middle of the pack character.
Let's dance!
Fun fact, if you move the N and A around in Lucina, you actually get my real name. I'm not even joking. The third character to continue this fairly long Fire Emblem trilogy is Lucina, who is the Echo Fighter of the worst Fire Emblem character in Smash, being Marth. What really makes Lucina better than Marth is her consistency. Instead of dealing more damage by the tip of the blade, any part of her blade is mandatory because it'll deal the same amount of damage. So it's basically a median amount of damage. Other than that, Lucina is a nice, beginner-friendly character that has the same moves as Marth. Her neutral B is the Shield Breaker, which, it breaks shields. It's pretty self-explanatory. Good luck trying to avoid that move while shielding with Jigglypuff. You literally can't. Lucina's recovery is alright, but it does not gain a lot of height. Lucina and Marth are the simpler characters of having a counterattack, and their final smash is super rad. It's incredibly powerful even if it's just one critical hit. It's possible the opponent can die when they're at 0 damage. That's what makes the critical hit one of my absolute favorite final smashes of all time. It's an absolute blast and super satisfying if the opponent actually gets hit by the critical hit. And also, Marth and Lucina's walk speed is the fastest in the game. If you're very new to Smash Ultimate and really love the sword fighters, just start off with Lucina and skip Marth entirely, unless if you love precision. That's why I'd rather play as Lucina than Marth.
Because, Junior, I'm the salad and you're the Big Mac!
Little Mac is such an abhorrent and awful fighter in Smash Ultimate that it's also the same reasons I love him. If you're in the Smash Bros community, there is a high chance that you would understand why Little Mac is so bad in this game. In my eyes, I think Little Mac is intended to be bad, and there's actually some good stuff about him. Not all of it is amazing, but I genuinely think Little Mac is a good character in this game, just with a lot of setbacks. The one problem with Little Mac that I could agree with is that he has an absolutely atrocious recovery, but I could at least understand why he has a bad recovery. His stage does not have any pits. And most stages in this game have pits, so if Little Mac gets knocked off the stage, it's almost a guaranteed stock loss. His air attacks are very poor and very weak, just because they don't have large hitboxes, which easily makes Little Mac the worst aerial character. Aside from his aerial movement, everything else about Little Mac is actually pretty good. Surprisingly, he runs so fast and hits opponents like a truck. Whenever he fights opponents long enough, he activates his uppercut, which is by far my favorite move of Little Mac. It's absolutely powerful and it can kill opponents pretty easily. He has a counterattack, which adds bonus points because I love characters with counterattacks. And he has a pretty good final smash where he warps into Gigamac and basically punches the opponent multiple times. I would place it above Donkey Kong's final smash because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for Donkey Kong. So why did I say earlier that Little Mac is a bad character? According to the official Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list, Little Mac is the second worst character in the game right behind Ganondorf. If it was up to me, I would definitely place Little Mac a lot lower on here. But since he's an E tier, I gotta feel bad for the guy. Olimar is my least favorite character in Smash, not just because he's unplayable and unfun to use, but he's also an A tier and it doesn't make sense because I played as him and he's absolute garbage. How do people actually tolerate such an abomination? And that's why Little Mac is way better than Olimar, because I can have a lot of fun using Little Mac, and that is why he's the definition of so bad that it's enjoyable. Give this little guy respect more than that stupid Pikmin hunter. Also, I'm obsessed with Doc Lewis.
I'm a crocodile!
I do love the super heavyweights, but I feel like King K. Rool is probably the weakest one. His crocodile obesity is what makes him the second heaviest character in the entire Smash Bros. Game. And by an absolute mile, King K. Rool is better than Diddy Kong. But he's still not amazing, and I'll explain why. I'm not really the biggest fan of fighters trapping opponents in the ground, and King K. Rool pretty much explains that. He's pretty slow and runs in a very weird way. King K. Rool's belly armor is a pretty cool addition, but there's one problem. If someone hits the belly hard enough, it causes King K. Rool to get dizzy for a few seconds, which is exactly what happens when you break a shield. I'm not risking the whole belly armor thing, so that's why I never even use his belly armor in this game. Except for maybe his counterattack, which is actually pretty good, but it doesn't work if the opponent is right behind him. All of his other moves are pretty good as long as they give out massive knockback damage. I love how he uses his crown as a boomerang, and the blunderbuss is my favorite move from King K. Rool. Not only does it shoot cannons, but it also sucks opponents inside the blunderbuss. His recovery is amazing, and his final smash is also really cool looking. If it wasn't for the weird concept of belly armor and some of the attacks revolving around trapping opponents in the ground, I would have definitely placed King K. Rool a lot higher than just number 42. Remember how I said there's a better ninja than Sheik?
There were no signs of this ninja anywhere!
Earlier on in the video, I talked about how trash Sheik was in Smash Ultimate. She was an F tier character due to how pointless she was, and her moves are absolutely awful. One thing I did mention when I reviewed Sheik is that there is another character with ninja-like characteristics that managed to execute this unique concept even further. It's Greninja, the real ninja in Smash Ultimate. He used to be one of my most played characters back in the day, but now I do like him, but he's not really the greatest Pokemon of all time. Greninja is still way better than Sheik, obviously. There's really no denying that since Greninja's knockback games are way stronger than Sheik's. He doesn't take forever to kill, he jumps super high, and he's pretty fast, but not as fast as Sheik. Greninja is one of the 4 characters to have a taunt that actually can deal damage. It's still not as iconic as Luigi's since it can be much more difficult to kill opponents using Greninja's taunt. He's the 4th back-to-back character with a counterattack. I'm obsessed with Greninja's Shadow Sneak. And I'm gonna say this for the 50th time, but Greninja has a great final smash. It's super cool looking because of the moon in the background, but I also love Greninja's noises. Greninja in general has a super cool voice, which kind of reminds me of Axel from SMG4 of all characters. His recovery is also pretty solid as well. It's basically Pichu's and Pikachu's recovery, but better. The only reason Greninja is not very high up is because he's not super strong. For sure, he is definitely stronger than Sheik. But compared to like half of the roster, Greninja is not super strong. Greninja is a great Pokemon and a solid foundation as a fighter. He's not my favorite Pokemon, but he still is a pretty good fighter.
Oh my god!
Wario is a weird choice in Smash Ultimate, but nonetheless, he's still pretty fun. It's crazy how he managed to be better than both of the Mario brothers, and you really can thank his specials because his specials are some of the best in the whole game. His other moves that are not specials are otherwise pretty average. First, Wario's Neutral B has the ability to eat opponents and also gain health. Wario can eat other things like projectiles, items, and even his own motorcycle, which is the next move I'm going to talk about. Using Wario's motorcycle is an absolute blast to use. I never get tired of it. But the downsides of using it is that if it falls off a cliff, or if it gets destroyed, or if Wario eats the motorcycle, it'll be replenished in like 10 seconds. Which means you can't automatically use Wario's bike over and over again. The Wario Waft move is absolutely ridiculous. It takes 1 minute and 50 seconds for the Wario Waft to fully charge up. And once it's fully charged up, you are guaranteed to kill an opponent. If the Wario Waft was not charged up at all, Wario would just make a really stupid fart. Wario's Final Smash is pretty cool. It reminds me of a comic. But like every other move that is not a special, range from decent to average. It's pretty cool how Wario comes with his WarioWare outfit along with his overalls in the Mario games. Wario's a good fighter, but definitely could have been better.
Bitches! Bitches!
Another tiebreaker, and I promise this will be the last one. The Princess of the Mushroom Kingdom and the Princess of... also known as the Princess of Sarasaland, are characters I used to dislike. The reason I disliked them was because they're pretty weak and you can't expect much strength from princesses. But that was when I did not know much about Smash Bros at the time. But now since I played as them more, I started liking them. And since then, they are the highest B tier characters. I think Daisy is slightly better than Peach because I just like Daisy more than Peach. And when I get Peach at random in Smash, it sometimes reminds me of Peach from SMG4, my least favorite SMG4 character. Aside from the aesthetics of Peach and Daisy, they both function exactly the same. They both float around if you hold the jump button, which are the only two characters that actually can do that. And I know I might get backlash for this, but I actually do enjoy Peach and Daisy's Final Smash. They both dance opponents to sleep and either Peach's or Daisy's will appear. And they can heal both the player and the opponent. Their down special is the vegetable. They pull either a vegetable, a Mr. Saturn, or a Bob-omb out of the ground. Although their down special is quite literally called the vegetable, there is a very low chance you could actually get Mr. Saturn or even a Bob-omb. I adore the bomber move. It's probably my most used move for both Peach and Daisy. I love how their counterattack and throws spawn in a bodyguard Toad. And yes, they are two of many Smash Bros. Waifus that I would smash. The only issue that prevents them from being in the A tier slot is their recovery, which is quite stupid. If they're not facing the right way when using their recovery, they will not grab the ledge. It does sound like a nitpick more than an actual problem, but I really wish Nintendo would fix this recovery problem and make the recovery more tolerable. I love the princesses in the Mario series, but the princesses in Smash Bros. Honestly are still full of potential. They're still good fighters though.
Shut up!
Next level game! Pow!
Before I review all of the characters I genuinely really enjoy playing, I'm gonna go review the assist trophies in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, some of which I actually want to see more of as a fighter. However, there are some I just don't like. One of the biggest examples of assist trophies I dislike is number 59 being Nintendog. This is easily the most annoying assist trophy, and I would like to make a debate that it's worse than every Pokeball in this game. It's basically the more annoying version of the blooper, an item I already dislike in Mario Kart. The dog takes over half the screen, which affects both of the players, even the one that used the assist trophy. CPUs can't be affected because they're not real people. I absolutely detest this assist trophy. It's not cute, it's annoying. Number 58, Nightmare. This is another assist trophy that can also affect the player that picked up the assist trophy. What Nightmare does instead is making the entire screen black. Not only is it aggravating, but it can sometimes lead to accidental deaths. The reason it got the edge over Nintendog because at least the aesthetic looks decent. Number 57, Skull Kid. Instead of entirely blocking the screen, this assist trophy just feels really random. Skull Kid can do two things that are really annoying, making the screen upside down or making the fighters invisible. And none of that really helps, which is why Skull Kid is so low. Number 56, Devil. Now we're moving on to the assist trophies that just don't really do anything. All Devil does is just move the screen around, which just doesn't really add anything to the gameplay. Number 55, Shadow. This is basically just Swirlix, but improved. Like with Swirlix, Shadow has the ability to slow down opponents using the Chaos Emerald. Nothing really more than that, really. I'm not really the biggest fan of slowing down opponents. Number 54, Starfy. One of the more infamous assist trophies. All Starfy does is spin around, which can actually defeat opponents, but it's still not very powerful. Number 53, Isaac. This guy is just so boring. I would much prefer Master Hand or Crazy Hand as an assist trophy rather than Isaac. His hand abilities are just so boring and not powerful in the slightest. Number 52, Burrowing Snagret. Pikmin is such a terrible franchise that I had to put this assist trophy low. The design of the Burrowing Snagret is just as ugly as Olimar, and it's also quite predictable and also very annoying. It is quite useful in battles, but it's still not a good assist trophy. Number 51, Claptrap. Really boring, really annoying, just not very powerful. Number 50, Metroid. This assist trophy just functions the same as Claptrap, except I think this one is a little bit more powerful. Number 49, Arcade Bunny. A pretty unique concept similar to the Claw Machine games, but Arcade Bunny only has 3 chances to pick up the target, and if Arcade Bunny misses all 3 of them, Arcade Bunny just disappears. Number 48, Dr. Kawashima. I simply just find this assist trophy to be hilarious. There are numbers that move around the screen, and if 2 collide, they start exploding. It's really easy to dodge all of the explosions, which is why Dr. Kawashima is very low. Number 47, Riki. I have said nothing about the Xenoblade Chronicle fighters yet, and I honestly think this is the weakest part of the Xenoblade Chronicle series. He's just as random as Skull Kid, but isn't a complete nuisance because he could actually help the fighter. But I'm not saying it like that because I don't really care much for Riki. Number 46, Hammer Bro.
Stop! Hammer time!
Hammer Bro is super iconic in the Mario series, and there's a reason why Hammer Bro is an assist trophy. He throws hammers repeatedly, which is pretty cool, but it doesn't really do much. Number 45, Vince. This assist trophy is just really, really stupid. He paints stuff that'll block the opponent entirely, which is just very stupid alone. What made Vince higher on the list is because the opponent can actually receive damage without Vince even doing anything but just painting. Number 44, Dr. Wright. All this guy does is spawn buildings from the ground, which is pretty cool, but there's one problem. It's way too easy for the opponent to dodge the buildings. Number 43, Thwomp. Another iconic Mario enemy in the bottom 20 assist trophies. The Thwomp functions as normally as any other Thwomp, but there's one minor problem with that. I wish Thwomp made the iconic sound. This just makes Thwomp really average in my opinion. Number 42, Prince of Sable. Basically just Claptrap, but improved. Prince of Sable can actually form into a frog at times, but most of the time it's going to be a snake, and it'll basically just attack the opponent multiple times, similar to the attack scheme of Claptrap. Still not a very good assist trophy, but definitely improved over Claptrap. Number 41, Mother Brain. I am genuinely so tired of talking about this whole Metroid series, and this will probably be the last time I'll ever do so. She shoots a powerful beam, which is powerful, I guess. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about Mother Brain. Number 40, Suckapon. What the heck is that name? It sounds like something I would come up with. The design is pretty dang weird, but it is pretty useful. It chucks its own head at opponents, which is pretty funny. Number 39, Starman. Just a generic robot that just warps around the stage, remaining stationary. It shoots these beams that are made from PSI, apparently. I don't know the lore behind Earthbound, but it's a fine assist trophy. Number 38, Chain Chomp. Another iconic Mario enemy I've actually used in some of my plush videos back then. He functions the same as a normal Chain Chomp, but is very easy to dodge. Number 37, Jeff. The Earthbound series is kind of a more interesting series to talk about than Metroid, but Jeff is just okay. He shoots bottle rockets, which home in on the opponent, which is fine, but most of the time the rockets are gonna miss. Number 36, Lyn. The Fire Emblem assist trophy of all time. All she does is just land one critical hit and that's it. It's very powerful, but it only happens one time. Number 35, Flies and Hand. The concept alone is freaking hilarious. As someone who hates flies, this is generally the most satisfying thing I've seen yet. However, it is pretty easy to dodge this assist trophy. Number 34, Ashley. This assist trophy is kind of like a mix of Swirlix and Riki. She's pretty random at times and has a cursed zone of darkness which slows opponents down. But what makes her different from Swirlix and Riki is because I just like her character. I think Ashley's one of the best characters in WarioWare. Number 33, Chef Kawasaki. I'm kind of obsessed with the fact that Chef Kawasaki commits cannibalism, eating his own kind. He boils up opponents and can spawn in food that can heal the fighter. He's fine, but definitely not one of my favorites. Number 32, Sheriff. This might sound surprising, but this assist trophy is heavily overrated. All this guy does is shoot bullets and that's it. It's a decent enough concept, which makes him a pretty decent assist trophy, but definitely not in the top 10. Number 31, Color TV Game 15. This is one of the funniest assist trophies ever. I love how this assist trophy is literally just a Pong game from the 70s. And whenever the opponent touches the pixelated ball, they receive crazy amounts of knockback damage. Number 30, Kapp'n. It's quite ironic that the Animal Crossing fighters are some of the actual best fighters in the game, while the assist trophies are painfully average. Kapp'n drives this bus that locks opponents in, which sometimes leads to their death. Number 29, Bomberman. The beginning of the assist trophies I like. And Bomberman does a pretty simple job at scattering bombs all over the stage, creating some crazy explosions. Number 28, Shovel Knight. Pretty good assist trophy, but not very memorable. Well, he is pretty obsessed with shovels and sometimes obsessed with digging, and can sometimes spawn in heal recovery items. Number 27, Geel. He's not very popular, but he's good enough. He's known for the Sonic Boom and the Flash Kick, which are both pretty powerful. He mainly does the Flash Kick when opponents are close enough to him, and he does the Sonic Boom kind of like a Hadouken. Number 26, Nikki. The upgraded version of Vince. She has a similar concept compared to Vince, but this time, she draws stuff that comes to life. She even drew a bullet bill. That's when you can tell it's a great crossover. Number 25, Andross. Another hilarious floating head. Yep, a floating head that shoots polygons directly at the opponent, which is pretty cool. It's even cooler that Andross is in the background. Number 24, Gray Fox. He uses a pretty sick blade to slash down opponents, and also can reflect projectiles at the same time. It's cool, but something I don't deeply care about. Number 23, Samurai Goro. One of the goofiest assist trophies, yet that's what makes him so powerful. He swings around a katana which can dangerously affect opponents, which is very cool. But I just cannot get over his voice, it is that funny. Number 22, Moon. Easily one of the most terrifying assist trophies. It's very iconic throughout the Legend of Zelda series, and the moon does nothing but cause a pretty big ruckus. Number 21, Phosphora. It would be nicer if Veridi was an assist trophy instead, but what we got was pretty solid. She moves at the speed of light apparently, but I don't think she's faster than Sonic, and has 3 different electric attacks, which are all very powerful. I still love Lady Palutena more. Number 20, Dylan, aka Rolo Dillo's son. He's mainly known for rolling into a ball kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog, which apparently attacks opponents. His attacks are mostly the same up until the end where he pulls off his final blow, which puts out crazy knockback damage. Number 19, Black Knight. Definitely slow going for sure, but his attacks are ridiculously strong. I did not know this guy was the king of slashes. I didn't even review Ganondorf yet. Number 18, Zero. It's quite ironic how a Mega Man assist trophy manages to be better than Mega Man himself. He once again has a sword called the Z-Saber, and I feel like this guy would work better as a fighter, knowing that the game already has a terrible Mega Man fighter. Number 17, Wily Capsule. Wow, 2 Mega Man assist trophies in a row. And I think this one is slightly better than Zero. He warps around the stage just like any other assist trophy and shoots different types of projectiles. Some are flames, some are electrified, and some even freeze the opponent. That's when you know you're gonna have a good time with this assist trophy. Number 16, Springman. I'm pretty disappointed this guy got beat out by Min Min, but he's still a great assist trophy. He's mainly known for extending his arms, which is very powerful. It's not powerful enough for Min Min though. Number 15, Girahim. We've seen so many assist trophies with blades and katanas, so what is so special about Girahim? Well, he warps directly to where the opponent is, which makes the opponent feel like it's in danger. Nothing more than that, really. Number 14, Midna. She's not mid, she's great. And in Ray William Johnson terms, fine. She's definitely good at throwing opponents, that's for sure. And her arms are literally bigger than her entire body. How does science explain that? Number 13, Squid Sisters. A lot of people really hate this assist trophy, but it's the Squid Sisters. You gotta give them respect for starting up a concert. All they do is shrink the screen down, which can definitely increase the knockback power. But they put out great performances, I'll give them that. Number 12, Takamaru. Another Katana type assist trophy. For this assist trophy, it just does its typical Katana antics, until realizing that the windmill swords go in a cross-like pattern. Number 11, Alucard. I know a lot of people want this guy to be a fighter, and I agree. He's super cool looking, and I love all of those attacks where he turns into a bat. He's easily the coolest vampire to ever exist. Number 10, Crystal. How are there 3 Star Fox characters that are playable, and yet Crystal is still an assist trophy? I just don't understand. She would be perfect, though. Her main power is to freeze opponents down, similar to the Ice Climbers, which I'll actually get to very soon. And if she wasn't classified as a furry, I would smash her. She's perfect to start off my top 10. Number 9, Knuckle Joe, or as I like to call him, the kid that loves knuckle sandwiches, because this guy just cannot catch a break. He punches the opponent so many times that it's also the same reasons that he's very powerful. You'll receive ridiculous tons of damage, that is if you actually want to get damaged by this guy. Number 8, Tiki. Now we're getting into dragon type assist trophies. All this one does is just breathe fire, which is still ridiculously powerful. Number 7, Rathalos. This dragon does a little bit more than just breathing fire. It swings its tail and charges at opponents quite a lot, which makes it the preferable dragon. Number 6, Yuri Kazukata. One of the best aesthetically characters ever. She sets up this depressing atmosphere, and whenever she takes a picture of someone, the opponent is stunned and poisoned, which is really cool looking. And that depressing atmosphere is kind of what I am. Number 5, Waluigi. Everyone and their grandmother are petitioning to get Waluigi in the next Smash Bros. Game. He traps opponents in the ground and uses a tennis racket of all weapons. Can this guy ever be a fighter? Number 4, Akira. He's very aggressive and can actually KO opponents pretty easily. His design is super unique, he doesn't even look like an assist trophy at all, and that's exactly why I love this Japanese assist trophy so much. Number 3, Rodin. Bayonetta is a franchise I just don't like, but Rodin is honestly the best part of this whole Bayonetta franchise. He punches opponents pretty hard using Bayonetta's side smash, and can sometimes leave any form of weapon whenever he's about to leave. This guy is basically just Bayonetta but improved. Number 2, Knuckles. Similar to Rodin, Knuckles is basically Sonic but better. He's very powerful when he uppercuts opponents coming from the ground, and he also has that homing in attack, kind of like what Sonic has. Just like with Rodin, I want to see this guy more of as a fighter. And number 1, Ghosts. Betcha you didn't expect this assist trophy to be number 1. You have 4 ghosts scattering all over the screen, and whenever a ghost touches an opponent, it can actually lead to crazy knockback damage. Pac-Man may not exactly be a great fighter, but the ghosts are my personal favorite assist trophies in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The next tier for the official Super Smash Bros. Ultimate ranking is the A tier characters. These characters are great and what I generally love in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They're not perfect, but they're characters I would love to play as. Mii Brawler is the last Mii I'm going to be talking about in this video. He's apparently known for being the best Mii in Smash Ultimate, and honestly, I agree with the Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list for once. If everyone knows who the Mii Brawler is the fastest Mii easily. Even though Mii Brawler jumps higher than the other 2 Miis, Mii Brawler's recoveries are otherwise pretty bad. All 3 of the options do not recover well at all. Mii Brawler has great agility, very strong moves, and has the most amount of costumes for any Mii in Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, Mii Brawler is definitely the best Mii, but the Miis are just not interesting to talk about. The fact people actually prefer Diddy Kong over Donkey Kong is quite appalling. He is another heavyweight in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that is quite the master at spiking opponents. And he manages to be one of the best Gen 1 Smash Bros. Characters. So Donkey Kong is a relatively easy character to use as long as you don't get pummeled by combos. Like what I mentioned, Donkey Kong has the most amount of spikes in this game with 4. That includes his forward air, down special, and side special. Yes, even his side special, the one that traps opponents in the ground in a not so complicated way. Anyways, I think Donkey Kong's side special is one of the better usages of trapping opponents in the ground, as it could be pretty easy to just punish them with one charged punch. His Final Smash is whatever. I wish his old Final Smash was brought here from the previous Smash Bros. Games. I love Donkey Kong's unique style of throwing, as at first, he gives opponents a piggyback ride. But one of the main problems with Donkey Kong is his recovery. His recovery is bad. It doesn't gain a lot of height, and when Donkey Kong is in the moment of spiking opponents, he can sometimes not get back on the stage. And that's exactly how some of my friends die when playing as Donkey Kong. And like all of the other big characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Donkey Kong has a huge hitbox, which means it is easier for opponents to actually combo Donkey Kong. He's still a great character to play as overall. Earlier on in this video, my friend Carter talked about how trash Olimar is in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Well, Donkey Kong is his favorite character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so I will let him talk about Donkey Kong.
So the reasons why Donkey Kong is the greatest Smash Bros. Character is because 1, his stage spike is a lot of fun. All you gotta do is grab someone and then just throw them into the bottom corner of the stage. That's one reason. 2, he has a move that could put you in the ground. His side special. 3, he has a charged attack where if you just hit special, he charges up a ridiculously strong punch. Then once you charge it, you can get it out really fast. It's not like Captain Falcon where it takes a little bit. Once you have it ready, you can just unleash it. Another reason, he has 2 spikes. His forward air spikes and his down special spikes. His recovery is pretty good. It's not the greatest, but it's pretty good. And he's a heavy, so he doesn't just like fly off the stage too easily. He can live to like 120% very easily. Donkey Kong is just all around one of the best characters in the game, in my opinion. He has a very, very good kit. He has a lot of early kill opportunity. He could stage spike someone at 30%. That is why Donkey Kong is my favorite character in all of Smash Bros.
Long live the Ice Climbers!
When I first played this game, 2 characters I don't really like too much were the Ice Climbers. What I just don't really like about the Ice Climbers is their complex style of gameplay. And I feel like their complex style of gameplay is what makes them great characters. Ice Climbers is definitely the most unique character duo in the game, with their controls in this game functioning similar to the double cherries in Super Mario 3D World. I previously trash-talked character duos like Duck Hunt and Banjo-Kazooie, but I honestly think Ice Climbers is one of the best character duos. And Ice Climbers actually feels like a real character duo, because characters like Duck Hunt and Banjo-Kazooie don't really function like a character duo. Since Ice Climbers have ice in their name, they're well known for freezing opponents in a pretty effective way. I particularly love their down special more, which is the Blizzard, but I do also enjoy using their neutral special, where they spawn in 2 freezies to freeze the opponent. Well, 1 if one of the Ice Climbers die. Speaking of which, if one of the Ice Climbers was KO'd, the gameplay would be pretty limited, kind of like Olimar without his Pikmin. The recovery would not work anymore, and all of the moves would be much weaker if we just had 1 Ice Climber. The 1 Ice Climber that could be Popo or Nana depending on the Ice Climber skin. Now, I don't really find this too much of an issue because the Ice Climbers are meant to be together. Their name is literally called Ice Climbers. It's plural. They're meant to be together. So why isn't Olimar's name called Olimar and Pikmin, where he literally relies on Pikmin just to win matches? And now my body is telling me that I should stop rambling on about Olimar. Ice Climbers does have a good recovery as long as both of the Ice Climbers are alive, and their Iceberg Final Smash is pretty powerful. However, the main problem with the Ice Climbers is that the Ice Climbers are very difficult characters to use, especially when comboing. I've had trouble winning matches with the Ice Climbers in late 2024 to early 2025. But now I'm very good at using the Ice Climbers, and that's why they are in the bottom A tier slot.
I want my mommy! Well, I'm the best you've got!
Lucas from Earthbound is just a better version of Ness. I know it's one of the biggest Super Smash Bros. Hot takes, but I just like Lucas more than Ness. Although he does have some disadvantages, he's undoubtedly one of the most underrated characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Sure, Lucas does have some moves that make him a bit weaker than Ness, like his PK Thunder attack is a bit nerfed, but his PK Thunder attack is his up special, which can be used as a recovery. His PK Thunder recovery actually gains more height than Ness's PK Thunder recovery. And it also helps that Lucas has his Rope Snake, which can also be used as a ledge grabbing recovery. Lucas also does have the PK Fire, but it's not meant for spam purposes, which is better than just having to spam the same move over and over just to annoy opponents. The only special Lucas has that Ness doesn't have is PK Freeze. The main difference between Lucas and Ness is Lucas's powerful PK Freeze, which is my favorite move from Lucas. It's so overpowered for literally no reason, and the knockback damage is insane. Lucas's PSI Magnet also activates faster and also heals more than Ness's PSI Magnet. Let's also not forget that Lucas's up smash is ridiculously powerful too. Overall, just about anything I would like about a character, aside from a couple of pretty weak moves. Very good character, please play as Lucas more. Pokemon Trainer is not a good fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Or if I could even count him as a fighter, because he doesn't even do anything. He literally just stands on the stage, watching his Pokemon fight other opponents. And two of his Pokemon are the worst Pokemon in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But I haven't finished debunking Pokemon Trainer, because I haven't talked about Charizard yet, who is easily the best Pokemon for the Pokemon Trainer. And overall, my third favorite Pokemon in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. He's easily the heaviest of the three and is also the strongest Pokemon for the Pokemon Trainer. So the 5'7" dragon from the Upside Down has so much good stuff going for him. He's not a very combo heavy Pokemon like Squirtle, and he doesn't need to be. All he needs are some ridiculously strong moves, and that's what exactly makes Charizard very good. He has his side special called the Flare Blitz, which is so powerful even Charizard himself can actually deal damage. Charizard breathes fire because, of course he can. I know Charizard is not a dragon, but I know deep down, Charizard does breathe fire. Charizard may not have the best recovery, but it's definitely a better recovery than Squirtle's and Ivysaur's. To finish off a pretty mediocre trio in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I gotta say that their final smash is actually pretty good. All three of Pokemon Trainer's Pokemon are on the screen for one hell of a blast. On any given day, if I ever wanted to play as Pokemon Trainer, I would switch my Pokemon to Charizard without any hesitation. But if I'm like really in a bad mood, I would sometimes switch my Pokemon to Squirtle or Ivysaur. You did good, Charizard, but there's better heavyweights out there, such as
Mario! How dare you disturb my family vacation?
Continuing the string of heavyweight characters is the heaviest of them all, King Koopa himself, Bowser, who is one of my favorite Mario characters of all time next to the Koopalings. Before I unlocked Isabelle, Bowser was my most played character in this game. So Bowser is the heaviest character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and whenever a character is more heavy, they usually have more armor, which makes it harder for Bowser to flinch or fall off the stage. Just like with Charizard, Bowser also has the ability to breathe fire. How could anyone not love Bowser's Side B? I am so obsessed with using it. If you use Bowser's Side B near a pit, it kind of functions like a kamikaze. It's only useful if Bowser has more stocks than the opponent. I love how his recovery is just him flying in his shell, which is kind of like a reference to the aftermath of Bowser getting hit by a clown car. How do I know this? Well, I was a Mario fan originally. He has a whole bunch of crazy strong attacks, well, because he's heavy, along with him having one of the best final smashes in the game, kind of like Pit's final smash. You manually aim at the opponent with one giant punch. Once again, the main problem with Bowser is that he is a very big character, which means he has a huge hitbox. Comboing Bowser can be pretty easy. However, this is the definition of a heavyweight I want to play as often, but there's still more coming up.
These nuts?
First, we had King K. Rool, then we had King Koopa, and now we have King Dedede, or as I like to call him, King D's Nuts. Yep, that's literally what I call this obese penguin every single time. I've had a lot of beef with this character, and I still do, because D's Nuts is that good. He's definitely a very slow-going character, and is the worst Kirby character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I still like him. Like with all of the other big characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the only problem with King Dedede is that he has a large hitbox, which once again means that he is pretty easy to combo with. But man, King D's Nuts is such a goofy fighter. He has literally the funniest crouch pose I've ever seen in my life. If King Dedede is looking for a girl, it can't be Isabelle because Doomguy is already with her. D's Nuts does inhale other opponents, but can't copy them. Instead, he just spits them out. I don't find this too much of an issue because I believe Kirby should be the only character that should mimic other characters' movements. And that's what made Kirby so iconic, but I will get to him later. His recovery is okay, I guess, as long as you know what you're doing with King Dedede's recovery. D's Nuts' Jet Hammer is kind of like Kirby's Hammer Flip, but honestly, I believe it's a bit weaker than Kirby's Hammer Flip because it just doesn't give out massive knockback damage, even though D's Nuts' Jet Hammer deals more damage to opponents. He has a Spike Ball which I could very easily pocket if I was playing as Isabelle. And all of his mallet attacks are super OP. The only reason King Dedede is a bit higher than Bowser because he's a bit stronger than Bowser, so that's why he got the edge over Bowser. King D's Nuts in your mouth for every crouch King D's Nuts makes.
Link? What the hell's he even doing here? He's not even in Mario!
It's been approximately a year since I first played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I still don't understand why there's 3 Links in this game. Well, I saved the best one for last. The original Link might actually be the most criminally underrated character of all time. I don't think anyone actually focuses on the original Link, they mostly focus on the clone Links. Now, I'm not saying Toon Link is bad, but I still would pick the original over the 2 clones. First of all, Link's bomb is completely different from his other 2 clones' bombs. It only activates whenever you want to activate it, and that's honestly pretty unique. If Link is too close to the bomb and whenever he activates it, he can damage himself. I still would prefer Snake's C4, but the remote bomb is still pretty cool. Link's bow and arrow is the most unique one. You can shoot 2 arrows at the same time if one is picked up from the ground. Link also has the Ancient Bow and Arrow, which is probably the most unique Final Smash Link could ever have in Smash. Until realizing it's just the same thing as Dark Pit's Final Smash. But the thing is, I don't really like Dark Pit's Final Smash, so that's why Link's Ancient Bow and Arrow gets a pass. For being a very straightforward character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Link is actually very good. One of my favorite Smash Bros. Characters that originated from Super Smash Bros. 64. And easily the best Link for not being very light.
I am Steve.
I do like Steve from Minecraft, just not as much as other people. Steve is widely considered the most loved character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and he's also one of the most hated characters in Smash, which is why he's the only character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that has been banned from tournaments. Now, even though I do understand why people don't like Steve in Smash, I lean more towards loving Steve, and honestly, he's a great pick. And that is saying something, because I don't really like Minecraft very much. Steve has a very unique playstyle, but is still one of the most difficult characters to master. For me, it's not worth it just mastering Steve, because I already know he's banned. Steve has a total of 4 completely different skins. This includes himself, Alex, Zombie, and Enderman. Enderman is my personal favorite Steve skin, but Enderman is honestly not going to be any higher than Steve because Enderman functions the same as Steve. Steve is a very combo-heavy character that feels like they combo for an indefinite amount of time. Steve is known for building a lot of land, which directly comes from his neutral special. He mines, he upgrades his weapons, and he creates blocks. But he does more than just creating blocks. He can create a minecart which can trap opponents inside. He can create an anvil, which is pretty powerful for what it is because, well, it's an anvil. And he can even make a TNT block. which can obviously explode, but differently depending on the situation. Steve has one of the funniest final smashes of all time. He traps one of the opponents inside a house full of creepers, and the house eventually explodes because that's what creepers do in Minecraft. Not only is it well animated, but I also love how Steve is just snacking while the opponent dies. The main two problems with Steve in Smash Bros. Is that Steve does not jump high at all and his recovery is not very great. His up special is just very janky. And honestly, I would rather use the recovery of creating blocks instead of just using Steve's actual up special that barely even deals damage. Overall, while I do understand why people would choose Steve as their favorite character in Smash Bros, but for me, he's great but not my favorite.
I suppose I'll get my chance another day.
Do you remember the Robin trailer from Super Smash Bros. 4? A lot of you do, because Chrom was completely rejected by Smash Bros, kinda like with Waluigi. And in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, they added Chrom as an actual fighter, an echo fighter of Roy. If an obscure Fire Emblem character can make it into Smash, Waluigi can make it into Smash 6. Even though Chrom is a very cool addition in Smash Bros., he kind of feels like Roy, Lucina, and Ike combined, with Roy and Lucina being his biological parents, while Ike is the cool uncle. Now, I'm not saying Chrom actually relates to those three characters, he just functions similarly to those three characters. Anyways, have I said before that Chrom is the Echo Fighter of Roy? The fighter that Chrom is the most similar to is Roy, the original fighter. Most of his moves are pretty much the same as Roy's, except there is one pretty noticeable difference. While Roy's sword has a sweet spot near the hilt and a sour spot near the tip, Chrom, just like with Lucina, is pretty consistent in damage, which means Chrom can hit his opponent at any part of the blade. The part of the blade does not matter, it still will rack up the same amount of damage. And what makes Chrom similar to Ike is his up special, which is literally Chrom's main recovery. At least it does deal a little bit more damage than Ike's up special, but man, Chrom's recovery is garbage. It's literally just Ike's, but way worse. Other than that, really, I love Chrom. I love Chrom's Flare Blade just as much as Roy's Flare Blade. His final smash is actually the most unique thing about him. It's not even a critical hit, it's an Awakening Ether. He doesn't really do too much to make him stand out from all the other Fire Emblem characters, but he's just a regular good Fire Emblem fighter.
You are a toy!
How could anybody not love R.O.B, aka Robotic Operating Buddy? R.O.B is essentially the most important character in the video game industry, who changed it for the better, and is one of the only characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that did not start off as a fictional character. Instead, he started off as a toy accessory. If R.O.B never existed in the 1980s, there is a likely chance that Smash Bros. Would have never existed. And that honestly makes R.O.B one of the most important characters, and also one of the most loved characters. Mr. Game & Watch was a D-tier character, and I did not really understand why he actually exists in this game. However, for R.O.B, I actually understand why R.O.B is in this game. He was actually in a Mario Kart game called Mario Kart DS, which came out in 2005. A lot of R.O.B's specials are quite powerful, and he's actually very good at comboing others, even though he's pretty big. His Robo Beam is not used for spam purposes, which is great. He only shoots the beam whenever the LED on his head is blinking, and whenever his LED light is blinking rapidly, he shoots a much more powerful beam. He has a down special called the Gyro, which is a spinning top, which is actually pretty cool. His recovery is in my top 5 favorites in the game. His final smash is basically just Samus's and Mii Gunner's final smash, but better. Overall, just a very good fighter. Not something I'm very interested in talking about, but I still love R.O.B in this game.
There's only 2 genders, Roys and girls.
The game is absolutely not wrong when quoting, "Roy's our boy," because it's true. And yes, I'm talking about the Fire Emblem Roy, not Roy Koopa. And definitely not Roy Gethard, he's a beta male. Roy is the better Fire Emblem veteran compared to Marth. Roy is basically the same fighter as Chrom, but most of his sword attacks are stronger on the hilt of his blade rather than the tip. And I mostly attack opponents from up close, which is why Roy is the preferable fighter compared to Chrom. This is kind of a similar story to Marth, but I really miss Roy's Japanese voice from Super Smash Bros. Melee and Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U. But the difference here between Roy's Japanese voice and Marth's Japanese voice is that Marth's Japanese voice remained the same until Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Roy wasn't even in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and his Japanese voice changed in Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U. So I don't find Roy's Japanese voice as much of a problem. Anyways, Roy is easily one of the most fun characters. Roy's Flare Blade, just like with Chrom's, is ridiculously powerful. If Roy charges up too much power for the Flare Blade, he can actually damage himself. And remember, the same thing can happen to Chrom if you love Chrom more than Roy. He has a counterattack, which is also what Chrom has. I love characters with counterattacks, which is why none of the Fire Emblem characters are rated below average. His critical hit Final Smash is not nearly as powerful as Marth and Lucina's. It's basically just a weaker version of his Flare Blade neutral special. And Roy's recovery is more horizontal compared to Chrom, which just proves my point that Roy is a better fighter than Chrom. And let's also not forget that Roy is exceptionally useful in the home run contest. Roy does just about anything to make him a very welcoming fighter. And he's only the 4th best Fire Emblem fighter. Palutena. That's Lady Palutena. The one and only Lady Palutena.
Ready when you are.
Alright, I'll review Palutena now. Why do I love Palutena so much in this game? Smash Bros cannot be called Smash Bros if there's not a sexy goddess. And that is exactly what I would call the best Kid Icarus character. Kind of like with Peach and Daisy, I didn't really expect much from Palutena. And yet she manages to be one of the best female fighters in Smash. So Palutena is the goddess of light from the game Kid Icarus. She has a very solid air game and is also very good at comboing. Using her explosive flame is pretty fun and kind of spam worthy. At least I have more fun spamming Palutena's explosive flame rather than Ness's PK fire. Palutena has a counterattack which is honestly one of the best ones in the game. Not only does it counter every attack, but it can also reflect projectiles. That's some tough defense from the goddess of light. Her auto reticle is pretty cool too. I love how the energy blasts home in on the opponents. However, the knockback damage is pretty horrible. She honestly has a pretty fantastic Final Smash. And do you want to know why? It's because...
Black hole and mega laser.
I could recreate that line anytime. It's so iconic. Black hole and mega lasers. Overall, while Palutena does have problems, she's still one of my favorite Smash Bros. Characters. Based on attractiveness. And final question before I move on to the next fighter. Would I smash Lady Palutena?
Fuck yeah! I can't hear you!
I'm a transgender.
For the 3rd time in just 5 characters, we have another Fire Emblem fighter. This time, it's Corrin, who is probably the most disliked Fire Emblem fighter. Not because of the moveset, but because Corrin is from the most controversial Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Fates. Whenever I choose to play as Corrin, I usually go for the female one, just like with everyone else. So I will be referring to Corrin as a female throughout the entirety of this chapter, although Corrin does have a male version of herself. Corrin is the character that made me discover counterattacks, because you know, I'm pretty new to this franchise. I learned the hard way about counterattacks because, you know, when I was versing a Corrin main, he was spamming Corrin's counter over and over again. And it was obviously my fault because I wasn't throwing him. The only projectile Corrin has is stunning opponents, which is indefinitely stronger than Zero Suit Samus's Paralyzer. And if you remember earlier on in the video, I said that the Paralyzer is one of the most boring projectiles in the game. So I'm quite intrigued Corrin's Dragon Fang Shot manages to be a lot more powerful than Zero Suit Samus's Paralyzer. And even the Dragon Arm can bite any opponent that comes close. Corrin's Paralyzer actually receives knockback damage, while Zero Suit Samus's does not. She has the Dragon Lunge, which is a great skewer type item, and can also be used as a recovery too. I love how half of the time when Corrin is fighting, she turns into this water dragon, and she just does that in her final smash. Overall, I like almost everything about Corrin, even though Corrin is like the 6th Fire Emblem character I reviewed. Corrin is very good and is overall my 3rd favorite Fire Emblem fighter.
Hyrule has been laid to ruin. My power is weakening, and Calamity Ganon will soon destroy Hyrule. I need your help.
Well, excuse
Yep, you heard that right. I actually like Zelda in this game. I know there's some other people that do like Zelda, but why is Zelda D tier? That's a whole question the Smash Bros community really needs to answer. Now, I do know Zelda and Palutena are kind of the same fighter, but don't blame Zelda. She was in Melee. So I actually looked up on Google of why people hate Zelda so much, and it turns out people hate Zelda because she is slow, and sometimes pretty inconsistent in her attacks. All that by itself is bold, because I actually found a lot of good reasons to like Zelda. Her neutral special, called Nehru's Love, is a great shield for reflecting projectiles. Zelda falls very slowly, which gives me time to react whenever I want to recover. Speaking of which, Zelda has the superior recovery compared to Palutena and Sheik, mostly Palutena though. First of all, Zelda's recovery gains more height than both Palutena's and Sheik's recovery, and it could also deal damage, unlike Palutena's. Her down special, called the Phantom Slash, is pretty cool too. She builds a whole Phantom Knight, and whenever it is fully built, it charges up to the opponent with one critical hit. Now yes, it does take a while for the Phantom to fully gear itself up, but it's still great nonetheless. And she honestly has one of the best final smashes, and it's not even manually aiming this time. If the opponent has more than 100 damage before the Triforce of Wisdom explodes, they are instantly KO'd no matter what, and I honestly think that's amazing. It also helps that you can't really escape the Triforce of Wisdom because it automatically sucks you into it. I also love her air game, even though it can be a bit inconsistent at times. But I know Zelda's precision, so I'll let that slide. Overall, I adore Zelda. I can't believe people actually don't like her in this game, when I loved playing as her since the beginning of me playing Smash Bros.
Fire in the hole!
Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Easily my favorite Smash Bros character that is apparently in S+ tier. First we had Robin, who looks like he is about to sign the Declaration of Independence. And now we got Snake, who looks like is about to enter a war. And his war-based mechanics honestly make him a very fun character, but he's still very hard to control. Just like with Pit, Snake also has an Easter egg in this game, called the Snake Codec. These codec calls contain 4 other callers, well, other than Snake. The reason why I'm saying there's 4 other callers is because whenever Snake Codec calls Falco, Slippy comes in. And Slippy is not even from Metal Gear Solid, he's from Star Fox. There's a lot of hilarious codec calls, such as Snake respecting Luigi, Snake hating on Sonic for no apparent reason other than Sonic joined Brawl with him, and this quote I am surely obsessed with.
Mei Ling, Samus took her clothes off.
Unfortunately, the Snake Codec secret only works on characters that have been in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, so that means Snake cannot codec call about Isabelle, unfortunately. So I'm gonna move on to his movesets, which are pretty cool, actually. And that's all because, well, most of them are explosive. His hand grenade, his remote missile, his C4, 2 out of his 3 smashes, and even his final smash are all explosive. He has one of the most unique taunts in the game where he hides inside a cardboard box, which can actually damage opponents if they aren't careful. It's a cool gimmick, but also it's a pretty lazy gimmick, because the box taunt is literally the only taunt Snake has. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that you have to use Snake's down taunt on Shadow Moses Island in order to activate Snake Codec. But you have to tap the taunt button very quickly, or else the Easter egg will not work. The only technical problem with Steve is his moveset, which takes some time getting used to, but I still love Snake a lot in this game. He's one of the most out there characters of all time, and that is the main reason a lot of people love Snake in this game. Absolutely one of the most badass fighters in the game.
Falcon Punch!
Another iconic Super Smash Bros. Character is Captain Falcon, who almost made it in my top 20 favorite Smash Bros. Characters, and is my second favorite Gen 1 Smash Bros. Character, who is known for running insanely fast, and having a variety of very strong moves, most notably being the Falcon Punch. So Captain Falcon is the second fastest character in the game, right behind Sonic the Hedgehog. Even though Captain Falcon is a lot slower than Sonic, I could at least control my movement, unlike Sonic. He's obviously the character that had the Falcon Punch. And he also had a hilarious taunt which quotes, "Show me your moves." His Falcon Kick is pretty cool too. I also love how it's used in the air. He looks like All Might from My Hero Academia. And now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like All Might was probably inspired by Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon has quite a lot of different ways of spiking, but it's not as much when compared to Donkey Kong. His final smash where he causes a hit and run is pretty cool too. Now, even though I do love Captain Falcon, I feel like he's kind of the same fighter as Ganondorf. For sure, Captain Falcon is way faster and also more iconic than Ganondorf. But all that really isn't saying much, since Ganondorf is way stronger than Captain Falcon. So does that mean I love Captain Falcon more than Ganondorf? No, but I will be talking about Ganondorf pretty soon. Captain Falcon is a very excellent character for how iconic he is in Smash Bros. And his Falcon Punch and show me your moves will never get old. Alright, so the next Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character I'm reviewing is a character I've loved for quite a while. Maybe not as much now, but I definitely loved this character when I first played as him. The character to begin my top 20 favorite Super Smash Bros. Ultimate characters is Meta Knight, the first Smash Bros. Character that was ever banned, specifically in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. The reason why I loved Meta Knight so much was for his pretty sick design, and most of his moves being absolutely insane. Although I don't really think too much of Meta Knight anymore, Meta Knight is still fantastic. What made Meta Knight so appealing was mainly his side special, which I still absolutely adore because of how chaotic it is. It's called the Drill Rush and can hit opponents up to 12 times. It may not exactly be the strongest move, but I adore every second of using it. His Mach Tornado move is literally just Ninjago in a nutshell. Great show, by the way. If you actually spam Neutral B, he can actually move up in the air, and can sometimes be used as a recovery. You know, in case you want to replace his 5 other different recoveries. He has a pretty cool down special where he teleports and then attacks whenever he reappears. I don't particularly use down specials often, so that's why I don't really use that move often. Especially since Greninja has a similar move, and that is his side special. His final smash is pretty cool. I love how he just slashes the opponent multiple times while he's in the air. However, the hitbox of activating this final smash is pretty small. He's honestly one of the most unique sword fighters, and that is coming from some character that is not even from Fire Emblem, because some of his sword moves require 3 hits for the move to fully connect. And that by itself makes Meta Knight a pretty solid character for comboing. And in general, a very well-received character in the Kirby series. Do I think Meta Knight should have refined back to his Brawl ways? No, because I feel like that would have made him a little bit too overpowered in this game. He's amazing the way he is.
Max Aura!
Man, Lucario is so far ahead of its time. Aura is one of the most popular slang words, all because of TikTok. Why am I living through a society like this? So Lucario is known as my favorite Pokemon of all time. In fact, the Lucario card I own is literally the only Pokemon card I own. Anyways, Lucario is known for having a very unique trait, and that would be becoming more powerful the more damage he takes. That by itself makes Lucario the absolute top of A tier. It's funny how I originally said he was very weak. The reason why I called Lucario weak in the beginning was because I tested out his minimal aura. But now that I realize Lucario's aura gets stronger the more damage he takes, he's honestly one of the most unique additions. Like if you are really struggling defeating an opponent, Lucario is kind of like an assistant, and is kind of like helping you win a match by increasing the aura power. Lucario's neutral special is an aura spear which can increase its size whenever Lucario takes a lot of damage. All of his aura moves, which are literally every one of his moves, increase in power because he's basically the Pokemon version of Goku. In fact, that's actually one of the reasons why I love Lucario so much. He's voiced by the same voice actor who plays Goku. His recovery actually gets better and better the more damage he takes, which is honestly pretty cool. If Lucario reaches his maximum aura, that recovery gains the most amount of height. I absolutely love his final smash called the Aura Storm, which, just like with Lucario's other moves, gains more power when Lucario is damaged. Also, I love how Lucario shouts Max Aura before he begins his final smash. If Lucario is at his maximum aura, this final smash could KO opponents at 0 damage. However, in order for Lucario to have his maximum aura, he needs to have less stocks than everyone. His damage level should be at least 190%. And overall not succeeding as well as the other opponent. It is pretty unlikely for Lucario in battle to reach his maximum aura, since Lucario is not a heavy character, but it's fine for the most part. Lucario doesn't need to be that overpowered. Oh, and he has a counterattack. I forgot to mention that. Overall, I adore Lucario so much. I regret calling him a very weak character, when in fact, he is not weak at all. People have some of the most BS reasons when hating on Lucario. They hate Lucario because Lucario only relies on aura to become stronger. That's like saying you hate Inkling because Inkling only relies on ink to win matches. I don't know if that's the greatest Lucario analogy, but I still love him no matter what. Is he the best Pokemon overall? Yeah. But is he the best Pokemon in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? No. But I will be talking about him pretty soon. Stop hating on Lucario, oh my god. And at long last, I'm gonna review the S tier characters of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. These characters are the absolute legends in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. These characters are what I would pick all the time if I wasn't picking random. These are what I call the top 18 characters of Smash.
I'm really feeling it!
I feel like there is no better way to start off the S tier chapter than to talk about two Xenoblade Chronicles characters. And the first one I am reviewing is Shulk, the British stereotype of Nintendo. He's known for having a lot of unique Monoto arts which can change the gameplay of Shulk. He has a bunch of other slashes, unique mechanics, and generally a really fun character to play as in Smash Ultimate. But he isn't quite as good as Pyra or Mythra. Ignoring all of the Monoto arts, Shulk is one of the most fun sword fighters in the game. But even I can't say much about his sword fighter skills since they're kind of identical to the Fire Emblem fighters, and Cloud Strife in terms of gameplay. So the 5 Monoto arts are ironically in my top 5 most unique movesets in the game, and I feel like it would be pretty cool to rank all 5 of them. My least favorite Monoto art is definitely the speed. Sure, the speed has increased, but the attacks and the jumps have decreased. And good characters in this game kind of need those. The second to last Monoto art would be the jump. While yes, you do gain a ridiculous amount of height, more than Falco Lombardi actually, but Shulk now has very poor defense whenever using this Monoto art. The middle of the road Monoto art would be the shield, which increases the defense and the weight of Shulk. But the attack scheme is very poor. And the top 2 Monoto arts of Shulk would be the Smash and the Buster. I mainly use the Buster first because it racks up the most amount of damage, but the knockback power is very weak. And that's why I use the Smash afterwards because the roles are reversed. In my opinion, I absolutely adore Shulk for his uniqueness. His final Smash is just like that too, where there's multiple characters on the screen. Even though Shulk quite literally changed time in his franchise, and people went so far as to treating him like a god, I still don't believe in this type of stuff. Shulk is not competent enough to be a god. There is only one god out there that even made Xenoblade Chronicles.
Pyra, I don't have time for your...
Pyra and Mythra, they're easily the best character duo. But both of the fighters function differently. It's the same story with Pokemon Trainer and his 3 Pokemon. And just like with Pokemon Trainer, I'm separating Pyra and Mythra into different rankings, starting with Mythra, the much faster and more combo-heavy counterpart, but a weaker version of Pyra. Even Nintendo themselves say that Mythra is weaker than Pyra. And I honestly give props to Nintendo for actually saying that, because that's what makes me love Mythra more. She has a whole laundry list of unique attacks, at least compared to the already unique addition that is Pythra, which is how the Smash community mixes Pyra and Mythra. Despite of how much I trash talk all of the fighters who combo, I was actually expecting Mythra to be pretty low on here. But I don't know, I just have a really fun time using Mythra. And she's easily the best combo heavy character if you know I'm gonna have a really good time with her. She's very easy to start combos with other opponents, and she just has this whole satisfying vibe. All of Mythra's specials are just Pyra's but weaker. Well, most of her moves, as her Lightning Buster, when fully charged, racks up the exact same amount of damage as Pyra's Flame Nova. The only move that would make Mythra stronger than Pyra is her Sacred Arrow Final Smash. While it does have lower launch power, the Sacred Arrow Rain could be a huge nuisance. Overall, I was originally more than ready to put Mythra very low on the list along with the other combo-heavy fighters. But Mythra overall is super fun. While I do prefer Pyra, I would still swap my character to Mythra whenever I am just dominating a match. However, I don't know how to use her foresight, which is why she is in the bottom of S tier.
Dead last in Ultimate, bottom 3 in Smash 4, dead last in Brawl, and in Melee, well, he was kinda decent.
I'm serious, everybody. I actually like Ganondorf. I could understand why Little Mac was very low, but I don't really understand the hate for Ganondorf. And I thought Zelda was the overhated character in Smash Ultimate. Ganondorf is highly conceived as the worst character in Smash Ultimate, and I highly disagree. You all just don't understand how powerful Ganondorf really is. The internet cannot always be true. Well, technically, I'm on the internet too, so I don't know if I'm true either. But in my humble opinion, I actually do like Ganondorf. Sure, he's the 4th slowest fighter in the game, but I don't really mind that. As long as he has strong options, he's good to go. He's basically just Captain Falcon's Dr. Mario. But this time, he actually has a decent enough recovery. Why are people debating that Ganondorf has the worst recovery? It should be Little Mac at the bottom, or Dr. Mario, or the Belmonts, or even Chrom. If his up special hits an opponent, he can actually use the recovery again. His recovery is not as vertical as Little Mac's, I promise. Ganondorf is insanely useful in the home run contest. In fact, he's the character I succeeded the most with in the home run contest. And that is if you use the reverse Warlock Punch, which is almost an instant KO. In fact, the Warlock Punch is basically a stronger version of Captain Falcon's Falcon Punch, along with his down special, and he is very good at spiking. In my opinion, the Ganondorf hate is really forced. While I do get Ganondorf is a semi-clone of Captain Falcon, he's not exactly a lazy addition in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That title would have to go to Dr. Mario or Pichu, or Sheik. I will certainly get bashed for this hot take, but I don't care. Ganondorf is a fantastic fighter in this game. He's powerful and can KO many opponents with one hit. And he is overall my favorite Legend of Zelda fighter in this game.
When you walk away, you don't hear me say,
Please, oh baby, don't go.
Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. Hold me.
So, Sora is in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Who's Sora?
Sora from Kingdom Hearts is the last DLC fighter that made it into Smash Ultimate, who is the first and probably only Disney character to ever make it to Nintendo. So we all now know that Mario, the Nintendo mascot, is connected with Disney's mascot being Mickey Mouse. Ignoring all of that logic, Sora is one of the most fun characters to use. He has a whole bunch of unique costumes, and his playstyle is excellent. And I forgot to mention this, for some reason, Final Fantasy is in the Kingdom Hearts games. It's literally in the series for no reason, and I love that. So anyways, let's talk about the legendary Sora and why he is so good in this game. All of Sora's specials are what you love to see. His neutral special is certainly magical. You can spam the Firaga with neutral B, you can hit an opponent up to 3 times using the Thundaga, and you can freeze nearby opponents using Blizzaga. All 3 of these magic moves are awesome, but they're only used in some form of pattern, so that means you can't spam with the Blizzaga. That's exactly what I love about Sora. He kind of prevents annoying spam from happening, and that's what I love about him. His Sonic Blade side special ironically does a better job at homing in on opponents rather than Sonic's neutral special. His up special is absolutely amazing, and he genuinely has one of the best recoveries in the game. After using his up special, he can actually use his side special afterwards, while he's in the air. I know Bayonetta does the same stuff, but since Sora is actually at it in the game, Bayonetta is even more worthless. Sora has a counterattack, who doesn't love those powerful moves? And that's like literally the entire selection of his specials. He has some of the best in the game. His attack scheme by itself is very good too. I love how some of his attacks require 3 hits to proceed, which makes him pretty reliable in comboing. And his final smash is super cool, well, animation-wise. It's still really powerful though. Overall, Sora is an absolute blast to play, and is basically a less complicated version of Bayonetta. His attacks are super satisfying to pull off, and he's at number 15 because, well, he's Sora. You gotta love this guy.
This confirms Bowser Jr. is stronger than Bowser. What's up with that?
Bowser Jr. was my very first character in Smash Ultimate, back in 2020 when I versed Derpy Small in a match. Of course I had to do it as Iggy Koopa back then because that's kind of what my thing was. Bowser Jr. is the character to have the most amount of unique skins, in which all of the skins are the Koopalings. And that's exactly what I love about this mischievous child. Before I review Bowser Jr.'s moveset, now would be a great opportunity to re-review the Koopalings, because, you know, I've already done that 4 years ago. So I'm gonna go over and recap my thoughts on the Koopalings. My least favorite Koopaling right now is Larry. I like his mohawk, but there is one other character that has a mohawk that I believe is better than Larry. So that's why Larry is in last place. Number 7 is Bowser Jr., even though he doesn't count as a Koopaling. He is the default fighter in Smash Ultimate. Nothing more than that, really. Number 6 is Wendy Koopa, the only female Koopaling of the bunch. Her design isn't terrible, but like, nobody cares about her, so that's why she's in third last. Number 5 is Roy Koopa. He's the most chill out of all of the Koopalings. I just love how tough this Koopaling is. Number 4 would be Ludwig von Koopa, aka Beethoven in video game form. Everybody loves this Koopaling. He has a very slick hairstyle. He's usually the last Koopaling you verse with, which evidently makes him the most powerful. But there are 3 Koopalings I believe that are better than him. Number 3 would be Iggy Koopa. I love this Koopaling for a very long time, but why is he down to number 3 now? A couple of years ago in 2022, my Iggy Koopa love has been drying out, and there are just 2 Koopalings I believe that are better than Iggy Koopa. I still love him though. Number 2 would be Lemmy Koopa, the ball lover. He may be a very small one, but I absolutely love his rainbow mohawk. I love how in most of the Mario matches, he stands on this rubber ball and it's absolutely amazing. And my favorite Koopaling of all time is Morton Koopa. Funny, he used to be my least favorite Koopaling of all time, but now he's at number 1. I absolutely love his unique design, and his voice is freaking hilarious. And no, Morton is not my favorite Koopaling because of this guy. I just gradually gained more and more respect for this guy, and now Morton is at number 1. Sorry if this took a while, but now I'm gonna move on to Bowser Jr.'s movesets, which are all surprisingly great. His down special spawns in a Mecha Koopa that explodes somehow. They can't actually do it in the Mario games, but it's still pretty cool. Their clown cart dash is a pretty decent move as well. I kind of wish those carts were in Mario Kart. Oh wait, they actually are. I love how his up special briefly sends Junior out of his clown car, and can actually attack while he's in the air. He has a cannonball projectile, which is pretty hard and powerful. He has a bunch of other really cool gadgets inside his clown car, and his final smash is passable. I mean, it makes sense for Junior's part, but it doesn't make sense for the other Koopalings, which is kind of why I want them as separate fighters. Overall, Bowser Jr. is one of the best fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, from a variety standpoint, because his moves, while good, could have honestly been a little bit better. And I will have another cameo in this video. This time, he's gonna talk about Bowser Jr. Well, mainly Morton, because, well, it's Mr. Morton DXD that's gonna do this cameo.
What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Morton DXD here, back at it again with another one of these collabs. And this time, I'm collaborating with Cultix about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Bowser Jr. Or some shit like that. Although I don't really like Smash Bros. Too much. All that I know is that Morton is in the game. Oh shit! He's actually in the game! And why is Morton in a clown car? I can pretty much sit by myself, just commentating all of this stuff. Back to you, Colt.
Ether! Ike is such an easy character to love. Even though he's, once again, another Fire Emblem fighter, he is easily one of my most played characters. And that's not even coming from a biased standpoint, since I'm not really too familiar with Fire Emblem as a franchise. So let's talk about the Ether Boy and why he's so awesome. Ike may be a little bit out of place compared to all of the other Fire Emblem fighters since he's not very fast, but he's still a certified legend. He does so much to make him one of the best Fire Emblem fighters. Ike has a neutral special that's basically the Temu version of Roy and Chrom's Flare Blade, called the Eruption. Although it isn't quite as powerful as the Flare Blade, it charges up more quickly than the Flare Blade, which makes it easier to KO opponents. He doesn't have that typical Dancing Blade side special, instead it's another charge up attack, which can be a pretty far range attack if fully charged. Ike honestly does have a better job at having a decent recovery rather than Chrom, because he can actually use his side special to get back on the stage. I'm actually very good at comboing with Ike, especially in the air, and most matches with Ike are not failures. Oh, and he has a counterattack. His final smash may be a little bit generic, but I love how he just shouts, "Great Ether!" Kind of like with his up special where he sometimes just randomly shouts Ether. Overall, I love this powerful warrior. I love both OG Ike and Path of Radiance Ike, and his playstyle is almost an instant W for me. Is he my favorite Fire Emblem fighter? No, but I'll get to them after I review this next fighter, which will be...
Well, I'm a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker.
Not interested.
Say that again, but this time in Japanese.
興味ないね.
Cloud Strife is another one of my most played characters. I know I may sound like a broken record, but that is actually the case for Cloud Strife. Whenever I open up Smash Bros, Cloud Strife is usually one of the first characters I play, excluding my main. So Cloud Strife is one of the 3 characters in Smash Ultimate that speaks Japanese, while the other 2 Japanese-speaking fighters would be Sephiroth and Kazuya Mishima. So Cloud is obviously known for having the limit gauge, which automatically fills up whenever Cloud is slashing an opponent, but can actually charge up way faster if Cloud takes damage. He can even charge up his limit gauge manually using his down special. So what does the limit break do exactly? It makes Cloud Strife slightly faster compared to normal, and all of his specials become more powerful, including his down special. Yes, all of his specials, which include Clim Hazard, Cross Slash, and Blade Beam. For the Clim Hazard, which is Cloud's recovery, it can actually gain more height whenever the limit break activates. The Cross Slash is my favorite move from Cloud Strife, and can hit opponents up to 5 times. It's a great special to use over and over again just because of how fun it is. Cloud's air game is also really good too, and 2 out of his 5 aerial moves can spike opponents. And it's pretty cool how Cloud has 2 different Omni Slash Final Smashes. The original Omni Slash with regular Cloud, and Omni Slash version 5 with Cloud from Advent Children. And funny enough, Cloud Strife's Omni Slash version 5 Final Smash literally came around when Sephiroth first joined Smash. I mainly use Advent Children Cloud if I want to play as Cloud, but it still would not hurt using the original Cloud. Anyways, overall, Cloud Strife is a fantastic character with fantastic specials and a fantastic air game. He's still not quite as good as Sephiroth or Kazuya Mishima, but Cloud Strife is still one of the biggest examples of characters I would play as all the time.
I see. Too many swordsmen, are there?
So let's go over a list of every Fire Emblem character I reviewed. I reviewed Marth, Lucina, Roy, Chrom, Ike, Robin, and Corrin. However, there would be one more Fire Emblem fighter that is the only one that made it into the DLC territory. So that means my favorite Fire Emblem fighter in Smash Bros. Is Byleth Eisner, who isn't classified as overpowered, even though Byleth technically is overpowered. Even though Byleth is technically from Fire Emblem, she doesn't really resemble much as a sword fighter. And yes, I'm referring to Byleth as a female because I use the female counterpart of Byleth more. This photo right here is the reason why I play as the female characters often. So what makes Byleth the odd one out and why she is the best Fire Emblem fighter? So Byleth has a very unique pattern in terms of movesets, where she uses different weapons based on the direction of the move. The Fail Not for her neutral attacks, the red bar for her side attacks, the Aimer for her down attacks, and the Sword of the Creator for her up attacks. In my opinion, that's amazing, knowing that Byleth isn't your typical sword fighter. The least used weapon for Byleth is definitely the Fail Not, which is only used twice, one for her neutral special and one for her neutral aerial. While the most common weapon for Byleth is the Sword of the Creator, which is not only used for her up special and her up aerial, but it's also used for many of her attacks and even her throws. Her air bar is super slick, and last but certainly not least, her Aimer is my favorite move from Byleth. It's so insanely powerful, it can actually be used to spike opponents, I'm not even kidding. Well, technically you have to use her down aerial in order to spike opponents, I'm kind of being a little specific here. I love how her recovery is ledge grabbing. Her final smash is pretty awesome. I love how Sophis just appears in the background. But the name for this final smash is insanely wordy. Yes, I'm not even kidding. The final smash is literally named Progenitor God Ruptured Heaven. What? Who came up with that absolutely ridiculous final smash name? I guess only Fire Emblem fans know. Anyways, Byleth is still a legendary fighter, with an insane weapon kit and the fact she's even from Fire Emblem. It's literally just the beginning of the overpowered and legendary territory, because we are now reaching the top 10 best characters of Smash Ultimate, starting with one of the most unnecessarily overpowered characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate would be Kazuya Mishima, who is another character in Smash Ultimate that speaks Japanese. Not nearly as much as Cloud and Sephiroth, but still. He's also a fighter that originated from an actual fighting game, kinda like with Ryu, Ken, and Terry Bogard. But instead for Kazuya, he's from the fighting game Tekken. Lots of people, including me, consider this human demon insanely overpowered. And it's not hard to see why, since it doesn't really take much skill to win a match with him. Even if you have mastered Kazuya, there is a likely chance you won't know about some of his input moves, which there are quite a lot of. Just by looking at the inputs, yeah, there's no way I'm reviewing all of this. And I thought Terry had the most complicated command moves. His side taunt is literally a command move disguised as a taunt. Just like with Lucario, if Kazuya is at 100 damage or more, he activates his Rage, which adds a special move called the Rage Drive, which is honestly just a more powerful version of his down special called Heaven's Door. Not only does it add one more powerful move, but it also temporarily makes Kazuya more powerful, kinda like with Lucario's Aura gimmick. All of Kazuya's specials are otherwise really powerful. This includes his Devil Blaster, Fist, Wings, and Heaven's Door. But obviously the best part of Kazuya is his final smash. And that's because... Do I really need to say anything more about that line? If fully translated in English, he literally says, "This will be your burial ground, bastard." I'm not even kidding, that's what he actually says. And honestly, good for him. I really love Kazuya as a fighter. He's easily one of the most powerful fighters. And if you know his inputs very well, you are very good at making decisions at attacking. Because he's kind of built for being the overpowered character of all time. I also forgot to mention this. If you hold A, he can attack up to 10 times. That's when you can really tell Kazuya is one of the best fighters in Smash Ultimate. So if Lucario wasn't the best Pokemon in Smash Ultimate, that means this one Pokemon is just insanely powerful. My favorite Pokemon fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is Incineroar, who just like with Kazuya, is insanely overpowered for literally no reason. If it wasn't for his revenge counterattack, he could have been at most B tier. Lucario's aura may become stronger the more damage he takes, but throw all of that in the garbage and you have one hell of a fighter, who relies on counters to become stronger. It would normally be impossible to give an opponent 100 damage in one hit, but that cannot be the case for Incineroar, which is why the revenge is super beneficial to Incineroar's character. So Incineroar's revenge kind of works like a counterattack, but instead of attacking the opponent back, the opponent's attacks are kind of ledged inside Incineroar. However, the revenge does not last forever. If one attack lands on the opponent, the revenge immediately deactivates. So you must rely on the revenge in order to master Incineroar. Because if you don't use revenge properly, Incineroar is not as overpowered as you think. Revenge gradually increases the power of every single Incineroar move, so make sure to use Revenge at least one time using Incineroar. The Alolan Whip is his side special and I think it's pretty great too. In order for Incineroar to release a powerful hit, you must hit B at the correct time. His recovery isn't actually that bad. It does go up for a moment but then just immediately shoots down. My solution to making this recovery decent would be to use the side special first and then use the up special afterwards. Both of those moves can actually correlate in the air one after the other. His final smash is super badass. He's in this ring punching the absolute daylights out of the opponent and eventually explodes the stadium afterwards. In my opinion, that is some hardcore dedication for a fighter. He's made in Smash specifically for the fighting and not for the defense, and I love that. Incineroar is not only the best of the Super Heavyweight class, but he's also my favorite Pokemon in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but isn't technically my favorite Pokemon of all time. Well done, Incineroar. If you thought the last 3 fighters were overpowered, oh boy, just wait until I review Sephiroth, who showed up to Smash Bros. Completely uninvited, and yet he's one of my most played characters. Which kind of explains why Final Fantasy is one of the best franchises ever to be added in Smash Bros. All of Sephiroth's moves are so powerful that at one point, he was considered my favorite Smash Bros. Character. But I'm getting a little too far ahead of myself, so I'll explain why he's dropped down to number 8. I'm not sure if Sephiroth depicts as the video game version of Satan, since he is a fallen angel himself, more specifically, the one-winged angel. That's right, he is an angel with a very thin 7-foot katana, and the katana attacks have huge hitboxes, which is why I love Sephiroth so much in this game. His neutral special may be another one of those charged up projectiles, but the blast radius for all 3 of them is super satisfying. If you don't charge up the flare, it's kind of one of those regular projectile attacks. If you do charge up the flare, it'll turn blue. Charging up the flare but not completely would be called a mega flare. And last but certainly not least, if Sephiroth charges his neutral special completely, he releases the Giga Flare, which has an absolutely insane blast radius. Another flare added to Sephiroth's flare collection would be the Shadow Flare, which releases a small burst of energy and circles around the opponent for maybe 5 seconds until the opponent is hit by the energy ball. Now, if you were the opponent, you could shield it pretty easily, but multiple energy balls could actually surround the opponent, which can sometimes lead to shield breaks. This is exactly what could have made Mega Man turn for the better if he was actually a good fighter. Sephiroth's recovery is actually very good. It's called the Blade Slash or the Octa Slash, but I mainly use the Octa Slash, so I'm going to call it the Octa Slash. It goes in the direction you please. And actually using the Octa Slash as a move is also very powerful too. Since it's literally called the Octa Slash, it definitely hits opponents up to 8 times. He has a counterattack, which can actually deal damage to opponents even if they're not even hitting him. That's what I call a character that completely breaks Smash Bros. Boundaries. Sephiroth also has one thing similar to Lucario and Kazuya. Whenever Sephiroth is absolutely struggling defeating an opponent, or if he's at very high damage, his wing appears, which gives him 1 extra mid-air jump, and his attacks become more powerful. It is a temporary effect like Kazuya's, but I still love how he is temporarily the one-winged angel, literally. His final smash is my second favorite in the game. He forms into Safer Sephiroth and literally blows up the entire planet. That's what would happen to planet Earth if we used all of the nukes in the world. And I also love how he just puts out physics equations. I know I'm a math geek myself, but even I can't solve this equation. That pretty much says a lot about me having a 99 in my last 2 math classes. The final smash applies various effects to the opponent, and that is really cool. It's one of the most unique final smashes aesthetically and even physically, and that is exactly what I would call a legendary fighter. He's not quite as legendary as I remembered, and the last 3 matches with Sephiroth were failures. And that's all because a Steve Main wouldn't shut up about me playing as shirtless Sephiroth. He kept wanting to kill Sephiroth because he needed to put his shirt on. People these days kind of need to handle my jokes. Ignoring the shirtless Sephiroth situation that happened a week before recording this, Sephiroth is still undoubtedly one of the best characters in Smash Ultimate. He's an overall improvement over Cloud, even though Cloud is canonically stronger than him.
Copyright is a form of protection for original works of authorship.
I hate YouTube copyright school so much. It was my first ever disliked video, and I've hated it since the day I got a copyright strike. And it also doesn't help that this video is from one of the worst franchises ever, Happy Tree Friends. How do people like this stuff? And I feel like there would be a better way of talking about YouTube's copyright system. It's about time I'm reviewing the absolute best OG Smash Bros. Character, Kirby, who is canonically the strongest character. He was literally the only fighter in World of Light that survived all of the chaos, and saved all of the fighters from becoming Galeem's puppets. And yet people still put Kirby in low tier. Are you kidding me, people? Kirby literally saved your favorite character from dying. You guys are ungrateful. Kirby is obviously known for having the copy ability and other various strong moves, which is what puts him barely below S+ tier. Kirby as a fighter might be the most iconic in Smash Bros. In fact, I'm pretty sure Smash Bros was inspired by the Kirby series to be made. It's quite ironic that Smash Bros kind of copied the Kirby series, when Kirby has a neutral special that inhales all of the opponents and eventually copies them. He can only copy others' neutral specials, and not really any other special. But it's still legendary how he could do crazy stunts like this. Kirby can even copy the DLC fighters, which proves Nintendo never gives up on updating Kirby. My favorite Kirby copy ability is pretty tough since a lot of characters have really good neutral specials. In order for Kirby to remove the copy ability, he needs to activate the taunt or he must die. His down special is the stone move, and that's pretty cool too. The damage is insane, and sometimes he can even form into a thwomp. He has multiple mid-air jumps like Meta Knight, King D's Nuts, and even Jigglypuff. His final smash may not be anything special, but it's super simple, and that's what I like about it. Overall, Kirby is an absolute legend. All of his specials are insanely strong, he's actually pretty good at comboing, and he would be my main for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World of Light. Easily the best OG Smash Bros. Character that originated from Super Smash Bros. 64. It's a great thing Kirby taught me a great lesson about the YouTube copyright system. Not this trash.
Wanna watch me do a flip?
The Pythra duo still doesn't fail at impressing me. Even though I do love playing as Mythra too, Pyra is still better. She is a stronger but a slower version of Mythra. Not only is she insanely powerful, but she's also super positive most of the time. And positive characters like her always put me in a good mood. So usually when I play as the Pythra duo, I am usually very confident, mostly with Pyra though. And because of the Flame anime sword fighter giving me high confidence, this is what makes Pyra the best DLC fighter in the DLC Fighter Pack Volume 2. So Pyra is the first fighter to begin the Supreme Territory, aka the absolute bottom of S+ tier. She may not combo very well compared to Mythra, but most of her moves are so insanely powerful that it could actually be pretty easy to KO a lot of opponents using Pyra. Her Flare Smash is absolutely powerful. It can KO opponents even if they're at low damage. The Prominence Revolt is also insanely powerful as well. Flame Nova is honestly just as powerful as Mythra's neutral special. Blazing End is pretty insane too. I kinda love how the opponent is just trapped inside the sword for like maybe 2 seconds or something. And even though Pyra is like the 5th slowest character in the game, she actually does move pretty fast in the air. Now definitely not the fastest, but at least somewhere in the top 40. Now even though the Prominence Revolt is a very strong up special, it's not so strong when used as a recovery. But I honestly think the recovery is not that bad because I just love how Pyra just shouts, "Prominence Revolt!" And Pyra's final smash is pretty cool. While yes, it doesn't receive a lot of damage like Mythra's, the knockback power is apparently stronger here. YOLO! Overall, Pyra is a very strong character that is on the same level of quality as Ike. But the difference here is that Pyra seems very positive all the time and Mythra just doesn't care that Rex is around. And Pyra is honestly the Smash Bros. Waifu I would smash more than Mythra. However, I will save the Smasher Pass thing for another video. I know there's more female fighters coming up, but Pyra truly is one of my favorite female fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Wait, hey look, is that fucking Animal Crossing? Who even plays that?
People that love Villager and Isabelle in Smash Ultimate, I guess, don't be manipulated by Cody Nutkiss, because in reality, Animal Crossing is one of the best Nintendo franchises. And yet it's the complete opposite of Smash Bros, and I love both of those games. And there would be 2 fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that are from the Animal Crossing games. So let's start by reviewing Villager. A niche fighter from the most relaxing Nintendo franchise, has a whole set of unique mechanics, but isn't quite on par with Isabelle. And that's all because Villager is just a little more inconsistent, but otherwise, they are the best fighter from Super Smash Bros. 4. I'm gonna refer to Villager as a male because I play as the male Villager more. And although Villager is placed at number 5, I don't really play as Villager that often since Isabelle is right there. Even though I do think Isabelle is better, Villager still has a handful of unique moves. All of his specials, except for the Pocket and the Balloon, are different. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Pocket real quick. This neutral special pockets any form of projectile. And yes, even Villager himself has projectiles. One of them would be the Lloyd Rocket, which is Villager's side special. I know Isabelle has a special relying on Lloyd, but that would be her down special where she digs Lloyd inside the ground. So the Lloyd move is only powerful if Villager is on the rocket. Otherwise, if Villager is not on the rocket, it's not quite as powerful. Since Isabelle plants a Lloyd, what does Villager plant? A tree. That's right, a tree. Which is only used to be timbered by Villager's axe. Villager can actually use his axe for attacking, which is actually very cool. The tree mechanic is still a little bit predictable. While yes, it is very powerful, but I have countered it and also pocketed it multiple times. So I don't really use the timber move often since it's very predictable. Villager's balloon trip is in my top 5 favorite recoveries in the game, and actually gains a little bit more height than Isabelle's balloon trip. Villager's air game is very good. I do love spamming the side aerial move over and over again because I combo using it. But his turnips, for some reason, are really inconsistent. One time, Villager will hit an opponent with 1 turnip, and the next thing you know, he will randomly spawn 3 turnips. That's exactly why Isabelle does a better job, because Isabelle only has 2 turnips. His final smash is pretty goated. I love how Tom Nook and his 2 sons build a dream house, and then eventually explodes on the opponent. If only Tom Nook could build a dream house for me, it would look like this. Overall, Villager is a legendary fighter, but I wish Nintendo did something more with Villager. By maybe using Villager like a Mii, and changing the Villager into the type of character you want. But what we got is still perfect.
Looking cool, Joker!
How could anyone not love Joker? He's that iconic for a DLC fighter. He's basically a million times better version of Sheik, who is unironically my 4th least favorite character. He's one of the coolest looking characters in Smash to the point where I consider him a little too cool. He has some insane aesthetics and some pretty insane moves as well. And including, yeah, I'll get to that final Smash very shortly. And I thought Mythra was the best combo heavy fighter, when in reality, it is easily Joker, who has a Rebellion gauge that fills up whenever Joker is taking damage or if he's using his down special. If he does use his down special, it can charge the Rebellion gauge even faster. And whenever he does summon Arsene, his down special will now be a counterattack. And it can also reflect projectiles too. When he does summon Arsene, all of his attacks, not just his specials, become stronger. His recovery would no longer be a ledge grabbing recovery and can actually gain a lot of height. The Iha move is very cool. It unleashes a bolt that can explode onto an opponent, in which the speed and the power would increase if Arsene was activated. Just like with most special moves, Arsene will not help out Joker forever. Which actually works for me simply because Joker doesn't need to be that overpowered. Joker has a pretty sick pew pew that can actually be used in the air. It only does pretty cool tricks whenever Joker does his up air or down air. And last but certainly not least, Joker's final smash is my favorite in the game. The animation looks absolutely stunning, and can instantly KO opponents if they are at a high amount of damage. The all-out attack doesn't even look like it's a final smash, it looks like something straight out of a comic. And this is what would happen if Joker instantly KOs an opponent at their final stock.
Game!
The victory poses are also the best the game can offer, with the animations being absolutely top-notch. Oh my god, I have never seen a DLC fighter impress me this much. I don't even know if Joker even belongs in Smash for being this cool. I don't even know if I should put Joker at number 4 anymore. He's so cool. Well, okay, the reason why he is actually at number 4 is because I found 3 fighters that I believe are better than Joker. Let alone Joker not being the best DLC fighter in the game. I still love playing as Joker, mainly the high school uniform Joker. He's visually the best fighter and a huge improvement over Sheik. And he would be classified as my second favorite DLC fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So, who is my number 1? Well, that's next. Well, we are officially on the top 3. My third favorite character and my favorite DLC fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is Hero. who was a fighter I wasn't really too fond of in the beginning because he was really hard to control. He had so many command selection specials to the point where I just didn't know what to pick, but now since I've learned a lot about Hero, Hero truly is one of the best fighters in Smash. He's depicted as the character that is super luck-based, and most of his moves are what I classify as random. In total, there are 4 hero skins from the game Dragon Quest. They are 11, Arusu, Solo, and 8. 11 is usually my go-to hero skin, since he's the default hero in Smash Ultimate. But anyways, let's debunk this madman. While Joker has the Rebellion gauge, Hero uses the MP, which is kind of like paying for all of the special moves. For an example, the Kafriz costs 36 MP, and if Hero only has 30 MP, he can't use that move. Even though the MP does slowly charge over time, the regular attacks are super beneficial to the MP, which only helps the MP charge even faster. Now's the time to review all of Hero's specials, because that's what Hero was built for. His down special is definitely the most famous Hero move, where he can select any one of the 21 moves. The Bang and the Kaboom are the 2 type explosive spells, with the Kaboom being the stronger spell. The Sizz and the Sizzle are the very fast flame type projectiles. The Whack and the Thwack may instantly KO opponents if they're at a high enough damage percent. The Kamikaze obviously KOs Hero himself and uses the least amount of MP with only 1. The Magic Burst, however, uses all of Hero's MP, and it's all for a very large explosion. Unlike the Kamikaze, this move can't instantly KO Hero. The Snooze obviously puts opponents to sleep. The Heal heals about 11% of damage Hero has taken. The Zoom doesn't really do much, but Hero is invincible for a short period of time. The Oomph just makes Hero way stronger. But now, Hero's defense has decreased. The Acceleratle makes Hero's jump height and speed increase. So much so that it makes Hero faster than Sonic the Hedgehog. The Bounce helps Hero deflect all of the projectiles. The Ka-Clang turns Hero into a statue. Great concept, but Hero cannot move at all. The Hocus Pocus is really the random move. Tons of effects happen here that may help or hurt the fighter. The Flame Slash is a sword engulfed in flames. The Crackle Slash is a sword made of ice that'll freeze opponents. The Hatchet Man is kinda like one of those critical hits used for Hero smashes. The Metal Slash is probably Hero's worst special. It literally only instantly KOs opponents if they're metal, and if one of the heroes is stuck in the Ka-Clang pose. And last but certainly not least, the Psych Up is kind of like the Oomph, but only powers up Hero's next attack. Hero's down special is easily my favorite move from Hero, and possibly even my favorite down special in all of Smash Bros. What actually does make his down special really random is that all of the moves dedicated to his down special are randomized, so you wouldn't really expect what are the 4 spells you can choose from. There is a 12.5% chance that all of his smashes are critical hits, and his critical hits double the power of his smashes. But once again, his critical hits are randomized with all of his smashes. Even his recovery requires some MP as well. His final smash is pretty cool, but it's nothing much compared to Joker's. The quality looks a little bit out of place, but I guess it's cool. Overall, this character is such a pleasant surprise. I expected Hero to be at least in my top 20, but not this high. His random nature along with his luck-based skills honestly make him one of the best fighters in Smash. Oh, and he has 4 different skins, I forgot to mention that. Hero is overall the best DLC fighter, but there's still 2 fighters left to go. I don't think any other fighter could be as hype as the Inkling reveal trailer. These last 2 fighters I'm going to review are all based on bias and not so much of power. These 2 characters are what I play as the most in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So let's start off by reviewing Inkling. Splatoon is one of my favorite video game franchises ever, period. And because of how much I love Splatoon, it's really no surprise that Inkling is very high up, let alone at number 2. In fact, my OC used to be a blue Inkling boy. The Inklings function exactly like how they do in Splatoon, and Inkling truly did live up to the hype. This is like a common trend nowadays, but I usually play as the female Inkling, so I will be referring to Inkling as a female throughout the entirety of my review. So Inkling does one thing, and that is heavily relying on ink. And since a lot of attacks use ink, you'll most likely have to refill ink over time. And the way to refill ink is to use the neutral special or to just die. The reason why Inkling's ink mechanic is a better mechanic than Olimar's Pikmin mechanic because 1, I like Inkling more, 2, Olimar's Pikmin are live creatures, so Olimar literally kills them. 3, more than half of Olimar's moves rely on Pikmin. And 4, Inkling doesn't rely too heavily on ink. Ink is literally in Inkling's name, so that's why I automatically approve Inkling over Olimar. So anyways, let me continue debunking the ink mechanic. If Inkling does run out of ink and if you don't know how to refill the ink, Inkling's gameplay can be pretty limited. But honestly, it's not that bad. If Inkling's ink covers the entire body of the opponent, that only makes Inkling stronger, which can be super beneficial in stamina mode. Using the Splat Bomb is a ton of fun, as the opponent would be inked pretty hard. The Splat Roller traps opponents in the ground, and can deal as much as 100 damage if you use it repeatedly. Splatter Shot is pretty cool and can also cover the opponent in ink. But an even stronger version of that special is Inkling's Killer Whale Final Smash, where it will definitely ink the opponent. Inkling's recovery is at least in my top 20 favorite recoveries. It gains a ton of height and can actually damage opponents from where Inkling began her recovery or where Inkling is about to land. Inkling is such a satisfying masterpiece to play. I'm very good at comboing with Inkling, especially in the air, and she is one of those fighters in Smash Bros. Where I always considered her S tier. Her ink mechanic is one of the most unique mechanics in the game, and she is definitely that one fighter that lived up to the hype. All of the Inkling alts are really cool looking, and Inkling would be classified as my second favorite character in all of Smash Bros. So who is number 1? Well...
Wait. Okay, oh my god, what does it even mean? Okay, oh, we got you on this one, alright.
Who is the best character in the video game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate?
A. Isabelle. B. Steve. C. Sonic. Or D. Snake. Okay, let's see you do that.
It's A.
Isabelle. You got it!
I can't believe this. There is actually a fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that is better than both Inkling and Hero. This character has been the interface of my YouTube channel and has been my favorite Nintendo character ever since. So that means my favorite character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is none other than my Animal Crossing girl, Isabelle, who is not only the best character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but is the reason why I even play Smash Bros. In the first place. Before I even went into Smash Bros. And before I even changed my YouTube name, Isabelle was my main for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Until one day I decided it would be a great opportunity to play some Smash Bros. And I started off as Isabelle, and I immediately loved Smash Bros. So then eventually I bought the game a few hours later, and this is where I'm at now. The Isabelle love made me play Smash Bros. And the Isabelle love made me change my username. I got so much to say about this Shih Tzu. If you can obviously tell right from the beginning, Isabelle is indeed a better fighter than Villager, who is more beginner friendly due to her consistency, and her running speed is faster than Villager's. Now Isabelle is normally not a very fast character, in fact she's probably in the top 20 slowest characters in Smash Ultimate, but since I don't really like most of the fast characters too much, I don't really mind Isabelle being pretty slow in this game. And do you want to know what's funny? Isabelle is one of the only fighters in Smash Ultimate that did not come to Smash to fight, but instead for the exercise. I too would want a break if I work 100 hours a week. So I feel like talking about all of her specials and why she is such a warrior in Smash. Tons of Isabelle mains love using the fishing rod move, myself included. It's a far range attack and is pretty spam worthy. Even though Isabelle's up special recovery is already top tier, she can actually use her fishing rod to grab the ledge.
God damn, this some serious gourmet shit.
She pockets projectiles, just like with Villager. She can dig a Lloyd rocket inside the ground. And her air game does not get any better than this. Her turnips are very consistent in quality and can only spawn 2 at a time instead of 1, 2, or 3. Is Nintendo really intentionally making Isabelle a better fighter than Villager? If so, it's a big W for Nintendo. I already mentioned before that Isabelle's recovery is top tier. And now that Isabelle can use her fishing rod as a recovery, Isabelle has the best recovery in Smash Bros. It's not Bayonetta, it's not Sora. In my opinion, it is Isabelle 100%. Her final smash may be identical to Villagers, but instead of building a dream house, Tom Nook and his two sons build a dream town hall. The concept is absolutely hilarious, and Isabelle's final smash is a bit stronger than Villagers. Also, spoiler alert, Timmy and Tommy are actually not Tom Nook's sons. I only called them Tom Nook's sons because I thought it would be funny. Oh wait, Tom Nook might actually kill me for this. I know not to mess with him. Overall, Isabelle is my favorite character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and what I consider my main for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Comparing her to the worst character in Smash Ultimate, which is Olimar, Isabelle would actually have a better advantage at winning rather than Olimar, and no, this is not even bias. Add Isabelle in the next Smash Bros, and also, add Isabelle in Mario Kart World as well. In order to completely finish my Super Smash Bros. Ultimate project, here is my final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list. Starting off at 89 in H tier, we have Olimar. From number 88 to 86, we have the F tier characters including Mega Man, Diddy Kong, and Sheik. From number 85 to number 77, we have the E tier characters, which include Duck Hunt, Squirtle, Zero Suit Samus, Yoshi, Dr. Mario, Banjo and Kazooie, Ivysaur, Min Min, and Mario. From number 76 to number 66, we have the D tier characters, which include Pichu, Mewtwo, Fox, Mr. Game & Watch, Pac-Man, Ness, Pikachu, Young Link, Falco, Piranha Plant, and Bayonetta. From number 65 to number 52, we have the C tier characters, which include Sonic, Samus, Dark Samus, Simon, Richter, Ken, Wii Fit Trainer, Rosalina and Luma, Dark Pit, Luigi, Marth, Terry, and Ridley. From number 51 to number 38, we have the B tier characters, which include Mii Sword Fighter, Robin, Ryu, Toon Link, Jigglypuff, Wolf, Mii Gunner, Lucina, Little Mac, King K. Rool, Greninja, Wario, Peach, and Daisy. From number 37 to number 19, we have the A tier characters, which include Mii Brawler, Donkey Kong, Ice Climbers, Lucas, Charizard, Bowser, King D's Nuts, Link, Steve, Chrom, R.O.B, Roy, Palutena, Corrin, Zelda, Snake, Captain Falcon, Meta Knight, and Lucario. And last but certainly not least, from number 18 to number 1 are the S tier characters of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They are Shulk, Mythra, Ganondorf, Sora, Bowser Jr., Ike, Cloud, Byleth, Kazuya, Incineroar, Sephiroth, Kirby, Pyra, Villager, Joker, Hero, Inkling, and Isabelle. While Super Smash Bros. Does have a couple of issues, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my favorite Nintendo game of all time. That is, until realizing Isabelle doesn't even speak in this game for some reason. Hopefully, Nintendo could fix that problem by the next Smash Bros. So if you haven't played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate yet, I suggest you all give it a try. It's really that good. And no, I'm not reviewing the stages because I usually play the Battlefield version of those stages. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, because my subscriber count has been going slower than ever for like 2 years at this point. Thank you all for watching this 3.5-hour long video. I really appreciate that some of you sat through 3 hours watching this video. I am your host, Coltix, and I will see you all in my very next video. Peace!